Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the September 13th meeting of the Board of Selectmen and Sewer Commissioners in the town of Wareham. As we begin the evening, I would ask indulgence and participation in a moment of silence. On September 11th, 2012, 2 days ago, Wareham lost a stellar citizen in Sybil Maloney. Sybil was the wife of Richard Maloney, Dick Maloney, as most Wareham people know. They lived in Wareham for over 60 years. Mrs. Maloney founded the Dick Maloney Youth Foundation and also the Dick Maloney Toy Drive. And over the years, they've donated toys and things to more than 700 children in our community. Many of you know that they also participate in our with the helmets for the kids on bikes. Mrs. Maloney's, the visiting hours for Mrs. Maloney are Friday from 4 to 8 p.m. at Chapman, Cole, and Gleason. And the funeral will be Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So if we could all just observe a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. As posted, the board has already opened the regular session at 6 p.m. Mrs. Winslow had another commitment this evening, so she will not be with us. Mrs. Begley was appointed as the clerk pro temp. So with that, Mrs. Begley, I think we're up to announcements.
Yes, we are, Mr. Chair. Mrs. Winslow she canceled her appointment this evening, but said that she would be late. So I thought that she'd be here by now, but I do have one announcement. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts has declared October 1st Captain John Kendrick Day, in observance of the 225th anniversary of Captain John Kendrick, who set out from Boston with 2 small ships on the United States' first historic voyage of trade and discovery around Cape Horn and into the Pacific, October 1787. The Wareham Historical Society will honor this illustrious captain on September 30th, 2012, from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Captain Kendrick Maritime Museum, 100 Main Street in Wareham. The guest speaker will be Scott Ridley, author of Morning Fire. And I'm sure my colleagues have several other announcements to help me out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have an announcement here. TNS's of Portugal, Saturday, September 15th at Salerno's from 6:30 until 10:30. Olive, cheese, and bread selection, bacon and date roll-ups, steamed mussels and clams will be featured. There will also be guest goodie bags, door and trivia prizes, live entertainment, program book with all the recipes, and a silent auction. And tickets for this event are now available at Music of the Bay and PCTFCU, which is an acronym I can't figure out at the moment. And I believe you can also get them from Sally Morrison, who sent this along. Before the event, the tickets are $35. The day of the event, they're $40 at the door. And 100% of the proceeds will benefit the Turning Point Day Resources Center for homeless and near homeless individuals, which serves 7 area communities, and also the Massachusetts Children's Relief December Kid Comfort Kits, which is also coordinated with Turning Point.
The PTTFCU is the Plymouth County Teachers Credit Union, just for those who don't know what it is.
Thank you for that, Clark.
Anytime, sir. Council on Aging, Vic Solo, who does his imitation of Elvis Presley, probably than Elvis did, is coming back to town on October 2nd at 1 p.m. Everybody can come in and celebrate with the seniors. It'll be greatly appreciated. I imagine it'll be at the Multi-Service Center, most likely downstairs in the old gymnasium. Again, October 2nd, 1 p.m. Thank you.
Mr. Holmes, Do you have any announcements?
Just one brief announcement to keep the town posted. Mr. Sullivan put out, I didn't print it, but Mr. Sullivan put out a warning on Tripoli, on all town property, including parks, playgrounds, the waterfront area, after dusk. Because of some Tripoli, the Board of Health has also put out that warning. The school department, Dr. Rabinovich, has put out a warning and has actually had some spraying done, I believe, or is about to. And again, from the hours of dusk, so figure 6:30 on, please be very careful. And if you are going to be outdoors, some kind of, I think it's called DEET, bug spray, right?
Yep.
To make sure that you've sprayed that on. But again, all town property, including school buildings, playgrounds, beaches, parks, etc., the town has officially put out a warning. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan, for getting that out so quickly. The other quick announcement is, for those who are unaware, last evening the board took another step towards the search and ultimate hiring of a town administrator. We had 3 finalists here. The next steps will be that the board, on agreed upon dates when all 5 members are present, we will be discussing those interviews and next steps towards getting a new town administrator. There's been some chatter that the board isn't doing anything about it, and everything that's been done to date has been done in accordance with the open meeting law and approved by our town council, Mr. Bowen. That's all I got. Thank you.
I neglected to write down when the flu shots are. They're provided here at Town Hall in the cafeteria. They had flu shots today, and they have an upcoming date. It's on the sign out in front. I probably passed it 100 times, but I don't remember what date it was. October 2nd. Do you remember the hours? It's out there. I don't want to give you the wrong time.
9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
See, there you go. Get your flu shots. The next item is citizens' participation, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, anybody here for citizens participation? Ma'am, please.
I'm Carolyn McMorrow, and
Please come up to the table, speak
Sorry?
right into the microphone, and for
I'm
the board.
Carolyn
And
McMorrow.
Mr. Sullivan, this envelope came from the lady.
I'm with the Wareham Historical Society, and yes, I sent an invitation up to all of you, and I'm asking your support in this event we're planning. Captain John Kendrick was a very important person in history. You ask every other person, and they won't know who you're talking about, so please, you need to support us in this. It will be on September 30th, 2 to 4, and Scott Ridley, who has written this book on Captain Kendrick, and you can see he had a very full life. He will be our guest speaker and our book signing, and the October 1st date is the date declared Captain John Kendrick Day. It's his 225th anniversary of leaving Boston Harbor. We are celebrating on Sunday the 30th, hoping to have a lot of support and a big turnout for this event. So I'm asking you all, please spread the word, get it out there, and hopefully we'll have a great show.
If you wouldn't mind, before, and this has been declared by the governor.
Yes, this
it's
went
an
to the
official.
this went to the Senate. It was written by Senator Doyle, I believe, and supported by Senator Pacheco. And the date that the resolution was written and requested was for December 12th, which would have been Captain John Kendrick's birthday. But they had chosen the October 1st, I think, maybe a more important date. Captain John Kendrick was responsible for opening the trade with Japan. He's the first person to carry the American flag around the world. And we have it right here in Wareham. He lived in Harwich before he moved to Wareham, and I understand Harwich is also doing a big celebration, so please let us outdo them. Let's make this happen.
If you wouldn't mind, before you go back to your seat, would you come up here and just note your email address here for me,
Sure.
please?
Be happy
I've
to.
received, and I think some of the other members did as well, some emails from citizens who are interested in participation, contributing. So,
Wonderful.
but I don't. If you just write your email down here for me, I can forward them to you. If you. There you go. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Got it.
Thank you, thank you. Spread the word.
Is there anyone else? Seeing none. Oh, one more.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have my Minot Forest hat on. I know that you're probably sick of hearing this, but I have an actual announcement tonight for the Minot Forest Red Pine Harvest Project. I got a phone call this afternoon. The logger will start on Monday morning, so this is more of a public service announcement that the cutting and chipping will begin on Monday. I am not sure how long he'll be. I'm guessing about a week. So that's my news. Week,
Great
2
news.
weeks.
Thank you very much for your
3,
patience
close to
and
3,
diligence
Mr. Titlebaum?
to get that
3
done.
weeks? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
The next item on the
moving
agenda.
right along.
The next item on the
Yeah.
agenda, Mr. Chair, is Westfield discussion.
Yes. The question is still up in the air, and I've been asked about it. I think I mentioned it. And Derek had called me again yesterday on it, and I think so. I'll wait till tomorrow night. I had suggested preparing a report for town meeting to report back to the town meeting members what's transpired over the last 2 years, and I just wanted to make sure that that's a yes from the board.
Who's preparing it?
Well, I was going to work with Derek on it and get it back. Obviously, we have several weeks to get it done, and then bring it back to the board probably in the next week or so, and then we can all go through it and add to it, take away from it. Yes.
The one issue we may have is I can pencil in, we'll have to have an article on that to hear the report of the Westfield.
Oh, you would?
Yeah.
We can do that before we close the warrant.
Yeah, we can type it in right now with council. Article 33, I believe.
Is the board first? Let me get a motion from the board to submit the article,
Well,
if I could. The article would be to give a report on the status of Westfield to
Do you have to do
town
that?
meeting members.
Mr. Chairman, if I might ask, was the Westfield Committee itself tasked when the warrant article was devised to do this?
They would task.
Or-
They would task it as an advisory board to the Board of Selectmen to review the RFP before it went out, and to assist the Board of Selectmen. It's the Board of Selectmen's responsibility to prepare, send, and make a decision on RFPs that were returned.
Right.
Then their second task was to assist the Board of Selectmen in review those RFPs that were returned, bids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My reasoning for asking for this is it's the Board of Selectmen's responsibility ultimately to town meeting.
Right.
And all I wanted to do was prepare a short report so that we could report back to our members as to what's transpired over the last 2 years, and just to keep them posted. And
Understood.
I thought that we would do that back through the town meeting process.
so, Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
this would simply be a report. It wouldn't be an article that would require action.
No, but it would just be an article to say that the Board of Selectmen will deliver. You have the link up.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I've written the article for you, and I will send it to
Could you read it
Mr.
quick?
Sullivan. Article 33, to see if the town will vote to hear the report of the Westfield Committee or take any other action relative thereto.
That's the article we'd like to submit.
Who's calling from the audience?
Next, you support it so that we can present the report, or don't you?
Is it going to be the Westfield Committee? Because they've
No, the
done,
Board of Selectmen.
Yeah,
because it's not worded right then.
relating to
It's okay.
Westfield. Yeah, the
Report
report
of
of
the Board of Selectmen relative to Westfield project.
Correct.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And as far as the Westfield itself, that was a town meeting article, so if anything changes, it has to go back to town meeting, either to be rescinded or whatever we're gonna
Well,
do.
this,
Oh, yeah,
is-
it's not-
this
it's not-
doesn't
No, this
require
is- this-
action, it's
this
a
is
report.
two separate
There's no
things.
action, it's just for them to hear the report, to give them an update on what they voted on 2 years ago.
Motion made to go ahead and submit a report for town meeting.
Second.
I have a motion made and second. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 4-0. Opposed? Abstain? 4-0. Thank you.
Chair, may I just read the article one more time?
Sure.
See if the town will vote to hear the report of the Board of Selectmen relative to the Westfield project and take any other action relative thereto.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could we,
Shall we continue with the agenda?
yes, we do have, if we could take uh, 8B out of order, please. We have attorneys who have to be somewhere else.
8B, 8 is sewer business, B is Walmart sewer capacity.
Yes. Is that okay with the board? Yes. I believe we need Mr. Campina. Yeah, come on up, guy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name's Ed Angley. I'm local counsel to Walmart. I live in Plymouth, practice law in Plymouth, Wareham. Starting September 8th, 2010, I wrote to the board requesting a sewer allocation and attached some materials that indicated what capacities were and what we needed. February 7, 2011, again, I wrote asking for sewer permit and appeared before the board. Sometime in late 2011, I wrote again, but I can't find the letter. And then July 30, I wrote, and I'm here now again. We were voted last...
Well, welcome again.
Thank you. Tuesday night, the Board of Appeals, Wednesday night, the Board of Appeals unanimously voted to sign the Walmart special permit and site plan review, which will be recorded soon. We again request to have the allocation of approximately 10,000 gallons from the system. It's my understanding through my engineer, Matthew Smith. By the way, this is Attorney Susan Kincaid, who is with Wilmert Hale in Boston. She's co-counsel on the whole matter. She's much better at keeping track of things than I am. And Matt has, as a civil engineer, has had talks with Guy Campina and is assured that there is adequate capacity within the system. I'm aware of some undercurrent from other people in town that we don't do enough, and I just wanted to talk about, at the moment, we propose a $50,000 mitigation payment for sewer inflow and infiltration mitigation, $200,000 mitigation payment for public safety for an ambulance or other safety vehicles that you want. We're also committed to $2.15 million in transportation system mitigation, including reconstruction of the intersection of Cranberry Highway at Tow Road, and subject to acceptance of the town, modification of approaches to the three-way stop control at Main Street and Toby, and then transportation demand management programs ongoing through time. I wanted to also point out that Walmart is characterized as some big out-of-town people. They've been here for almost 20 years. The Robertsons, who we're leasing the property from, have been here for 40 years. And we are in line, have been in line, and you have the capacity, and I would like to have you vote to give us the capacity. We've certainly done. And then again, I'm referring to a letter which you received. Walmart has, over the last several years, donated approximately a little over $100,000 a year to varying charities within the town, all the youth groups, all the things. And I have my cell phone ran out of battery, but I was looking at the attachment, and there's a massive series of $1,000, $2,000, $2,500, $500 donations to all sorts of people in the town. So Walmart has certainly pulled its share and given its share of things as a good corporate citizen of the town. And that's what I have. And if you got any questions,
One question. We obviously have some issues about capacity and for other companies in the area working on the projects, which I'm sure is what you're referring to. We can find out from Mr. Campino what our overall situation is. But are there still ongoing negotiations between the two parties at this time?
I would prefer to have Susan deal with that since she's the one doing the negotiation.
That's what I expect.
Negotiations are at a standstill at the moment, but Walmart is willing to resume them at any time. Walmart has expressed its willingness on several occasions to make a significant payment toward the private work that was done to upgrade the Springborn pump station. And, you know, that offer is still available, and Walmart is willing to move forward with an agreement on that. We haven't heard from the other party in quite some time.
Okay. Probably what we'll do is we'll ask Mr. Campino to give us the information. My feeling right now is I hate delaying and not making decisions, but I'd be more comfortable if we would have put the decision off a few weeks to see if you and the other party can come up with an agreement and come here as a whole so we know everything is all set for that whole area. It's my own personal thought. Mr. Campino?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Board of Selectmen. The project to Springborn is completed. We're online. We're pumping about 40%. We have a new VFD system. I invite you down there. It's quite elaborate. It's really a nice job. We do have plenty of capacity. I think capacity is the question. We have capacity at the plant to accommodate to 10,000 gallons. And we have capacity at the pump station. The pump station presently will handle 80 meg pieces, 50,000 gallon commitment we made to them in the upgrade of that treatment plant. I mean of that pump station, and that won't go away. That's a commitment that we made to them as they made to us in completing that upgrade. So that'll maintain, won't let that go at all. Also in that commitment, there's approximately 65 gallons per minute, which equates to, I don't have my calculator, but it equates to quite a bit for us. Let me just review. The pump station originally was 305 gallons per minute, and that's capacity, that's flow. And what that is they're talking about peak, and what peak refers to is if every drop of effluent hit us at the exact same time, worst case scenario, could that pump handle it? So it's designed to peak flow to accommodate that, and we've done that. We're capable of doing 485 gallons per minute. We did a drawdown test and verified that, so the numbers are accurate. So the figures we have are very accurate, and everybody can be accommodated. So to answer your question directly, yes, we have capacity at Springborn Pump Station, and we have capacity at the treatment plant to handle the 10,000 gallons that they're proposing. I don't know what else I can say about it other than that, but yeah, we're pretty comfortable with what's going on there. We've run the plant, we've run that pump station for 2 weeks. We've verified everything. We're real comfortable with it.
Okay. And our option, of course, if the sewer was not available to Walmart, they would just go into a regular Title V system.
Absolutely.
Because of the numbers, which is where we don't want to go.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, that's a sensitive area. We've talked about that. So sewering is a great idea. And also, I'm encouraged by the opportunity. I mean, if what I hear is correct and there's a mitigation for I&I, we can talk about some gallons. So we're presently working on an I&I program of approximately 130,000 gallons. It's going to cost us approximately $50,000 to remove that. So it's 130,000 gallons. We're going to add to our capacity. We recently found more catch basins throughout the community that are tied in. We're going to remove them. That's approximately 30,000 gallons per catch basin, 5,000 square feet. So there's substantial I&I to be gathered out there and add to our capacity and continue to grow Wareham. So I'm encouraged by that. It's a boom to the town of Wareham.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mrs. Begley.
I guess my concern has always been, I keep bringing it up, the CWMP and what our permit says. So we have not fulfilled our obligation with the CWMP. It is stated pretty clearly in there that we have to complete those projects before we bring anybody new online.
If the property is in the vicinity of sewer, when the CM, the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan was done, what was actually sewered at that time is capable to come in. When we did the Makepeace project, you'll see the memo from our engineer, CDM, regarding that very case that allowed them to come in because they were in the sewer area when the Comprehensive Management Plan was drawn. It pertains to Wareham crossings and all the other things we've done. As long as they're in the sewered area, then the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan allows it. So it would be well within that. So
I'd rather see that in writing, Mr.
Well,
Campino.
it's in writing.
No,
We
I
can
want to
show
see
to
it
you.
in writing for this project, not for previous projects. And the other thing is that you were kind of skirting around the issue of the second party, and right now you're in negotiations. We have heard from that second party, and I have to agree with Selectman Slavin that until those things are resolved, I'm not prepared to vote for anything moving forward. They need to be resolved. We are not getting in the middle of it.
Well, it's a public sewer, and whatever the other party does is not the concern of the board to tell us that we have to pay with them. We're willing to do it, but I believe that you're overstepping your authority. So, and that's my legal opinion, and you can disagree with me, but I've been here 4 times, and 4 times you ignored me. 4 times I got no answer, and I think it's rude and it's unseemly of a Board of Selectmen to act in that manner. Now, I've had my say, finally.
Well, thank you for your opinion. Mrs. Begley, if I could just get you to repeat that question. You wanted in writing, what was it again for the... I just want to make a note.
We have it in writing, apparently, from...
The CDM report pertaining to
the
Makepeace.
Rosebrook and the Makepeace development. So we're just using that particular opinion to kind of blanket the whole town, and I'm uncomfortable with that, Mr. Chair.
Okay. One of the things, what is the act? Am I not on? What do you point? Sorry? One of the questions, gentlemen, please. One of the questions I have is that what is the actual, I thought the capacity that we were looking at was 9,000, I forget what the numbers are, 9,500 a day.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
The request for capacity,
9,635.
not 10,000 or over.
No.
And do we know that that figure is accurate, sir? That's been questioned.
I don't know, but my engineer told me.
Mr. Campini, you agree with that?
Yes, the figure's accurate based upon Title V calculations. We'll find that the figures, the actual flow would probably be a lot less, but based on Title V calculations, square foot of the building and the computations that applied by DEP, that number's accurate.
But look, my opinion here is that at this moment, this has been here. I agree with you, sir, in one aspect, that you've been here too many times. But I got to tell you, that every time you're here, now you may think it's a slam dunk, but you know, there are documents that this board had nothing to do with that are out there, and we've spent quite a bit of time on research to find out what the town is committed to in that area. I know I've spent a lot of that personal time and taken time out of work to go to meetings to try to find out what those numbers are. So you may think that nothing's been done, but that's not quite accurate. And I can share some frustration because I like to get things done. It appears that today it may not get done. But what I need to do here is from everybody sitting here, because everybody sitting here is the ones that are going to make the decision on your end and our end, is what do we need to get this done? Peter? Do you have an answer to that question?
There's something further that I would like to know, and that would be for Mr. Attorney Bowen to review any agreements we might have with third parties that could be impacted by this, so that he's in a position to advise us as to whether we possibly have any liabilities here. I think that's just the prudent thing to do. I'm not trying to delay your project here, but I think it's a wise thing for this board to ask our council to take a look at that. I will say that I think your mitigation package appears quite reasonable, but I think we need to try to get all of the ducks in a row here. And further in that regard, I think as Mr. Slavin suggested with his initial remarks, we might be better off trying to get some of these answers that Selectman Begley was looking for from Mr. Campina. I think some of the information Mr. Slavin was looking for, and also if possibly I could get my question answered as well, and then to come back and readdress this fairly soon. I know it's been a long, hard slog for you people, and you've gotten through your other steps, and now you're just waiting for us. So I can appreciate that, but I think we have to act somewhat prudently in this regard.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Oh, go ahead, ma'am.
Discussions have been underway with the other party for months, and yes, I sent them a draft of an agreement back before the summer. And I'm thinking ahead to, we're very happy to, I think the board needs more information and to take the time to give the board what it needs. But should I come back to you at whatever date we set to return, and I've tried very hard with a third party, and I'm in the same position I am now in that I've made an offer and it hasn't been accepted, will we be in the same position we are now?
Mark, I guess, Mark, you have anything? Introduce yourself.
Mark Bobrowski, Blattman, Bobrowski, in Meade Town Council's office.
Any comments here?
Mr. Chairman,
I ask you a question.
I think it's important, just as an introduction here, to have squared away any potential appeal of the sewer connection permit. That's the first thing I see as important. Mm-hmm. So the third party lurking out there does present an issue in my mind that the board should at least take additional steps to figure out. Secondly, it is important for the board to recognize that if and when you make the decision to grant the permit, the mitigation be stated as a condition of the permit. It's not a gift in association with a permit. It is a condition of the permit. You can see how related it is. It's sewer I&I reduction. So that's important. I've drafted that condition for the right time just to have if we need it. Those are my two thoughts coming in. I'm happy to answer any questions.
There's a lot of...
Sorry.
There's a lot of discussion here of third party. I'm not so sure I'm clear on what that is. Could you explain what's going on here with this third party? People, I'm sure, have no clue who the third party is and what this is all about.
Well, Guy, I'm sure will correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand the situation, an earlier project was tagged with the obligation to increase pumping capacity out in the general location in which Walmart now seeks to open its store. And the capacity was increased roughly by about 500,000 gallons a day. And Walmart, as you can see, is putting a substantially de minimis amount when you compare it with that overall pumping capacity. I won't go into the heart of the negotiations between Walmart and the third party, right, but they have been able to reach a number in terms of a contribution to that existing pump. At the same time, the Planning Board and the Board of Appeals, which have now finished their work on the special permit and site plan review respectively, have Now, they deferred any decision on the sewer because you're the sewer commissioners, and they thought it was more appropriate for you to take a look at that condition. So that's, I'm not involved in the private negotiation between the third party and Walmart. I'm encouraging them from the sidelines to get the job done. I think it would behoove everybody to have an agreement so that we could just come in and debate the merits of the issuance of the sewer permit with that set aside.
Do you have a time frame? I wish I knew that ahead of time. I would have had the third party come and sit at the table as well, and then we could have all just discussed and got it done with. I need to get this done. Do you have a time frame on when you're going to wrap this up? Do you know?
I mean,
Week, 2 weeks from now, a week from now, 3
I
weeks
can
from now?
try over the next 2 weeks. I just don't know if the third party's willing to change its position. I can't predict that.
We'll just wait.
Mr. Chairman, maybe the best thing to do from our perspective is for me to offer my services to the third party and to Walmart to try to mediate some sort of an agreement, or to report back to you that the mediation was unsuccessful.
That's acceptable to us. In fact, we encourage it.
Board? Mrs. Begley.
I have just one comment and a question. The document that Mr. Campina gave me is from Bowler Engineering, and this is from Woodward and Curran. And it said, even though the wastewater treatment plant can treat this additional flow, from a loading standpoint, the town would be required to obtain a new discharge permit to treat all average daily flows above 1.56. I guess that's
Our capacity right now is 1.56 million gallons into the river. That's all we can do.
Okay.
Our loading is based upon a BOD and some other factors, nitrogen and things like that. So what they're saying is if we went, and actually, let me correct that slightly, because if we approach 80% of that number, then that would trigger an upgrade by DEP EPA. So we're trying to stay away from those numbers. And that's why we're very careful. When we talk about what we have left for capacity, as I had stated many months ago, that we have, at the time, we have 156,000 gallons. That's what we have as a number to keep us from that 1.56 threshold and the 80%. So it's like taking from the deli, you pull the gallons as we pull. When we get to 156, we're done pulling. So that's why I'm very encouraged by adding money to I&I, because then we can put back, that's all.
Okay, good. And then based on our analysis, the wastewater treatment plant has available capacity to support the Walmart development, which has requested an average daily flow of 9,000 gallons per day. And then my other question is this. It's a very generous offer, Attorney Bobrowski, but my question is this. Who's paying? It's always going to come down to the dollar. Who's paying for your mediation? Certainly not going to be the town.
I believe there's still funds in the 53G account, and those could be used to pay for the services of Mr. Bobrowski.
There are funds there.
This is actually.
Yes, it does.
So those funds that answers my question.
So just to clarify the answer, though.
Well, to clarify the answer, that we're not paying. The town of Wareham is not paying for the mediation. And then to clarify, I understand that you're staying away from that number, Mr. Campina. We definitely want to stay away from that number because we still have areas of the town that need to be sewered, or there may be citizens in this town that want to be sewered. And I don't want to have to tell them, well, in order for you to be sewered, you're going to have to come up with X million dollars to upgrade the plant. I don't want that to fall on the backs of the citizens of this town.
I agree with you. It's already factored in. The numbers we're talking about are already factored in. The 3 that's not done yet, and then also inflow from the areas that have been sewered. So when we did the numbers in the Woodward and Curran report, all those factors you're speaking of have been factored in. So yeah, absolutely, that we're very aware of that. And the 156 or the 136 we have left takes all those numbers you speak of in consideration. That's what we have excess. So that's what we're working with, and that only.
Thank you. Anything else, quickly?
I'd just like to go ahead and make a motion that the parties come back before us in 2 weeks, and we can come up with a decision at that time.
Well, my comment on that is, this is not, here's where I can help to control this. This will not come on another agenda until you have confirmed, Mark, that this is done. and that Mrs. Begley's, I made a list here. Mrs. Begley's questions will be answered very quickly by Mr. Campino. I don't worry about that part. But this will not come back on another agenda here until you've sent me a note, say, Steve, we're ready to go. Because like the gentleman said, I mean, this is 4 or 5 times. We're just spinning wheels here.
I agree, Mr. Chairman. Let me just define ready to go. It's either going to be a mediated resolution
Or it's not.
or my frustration that we were unable to get
Right.
one, and I'm done trying.
Correct.
Okay.
Easy enough. That works for me. Sir, you're the only one who hasn't spoken.
If I may, yes, Matt Smith.
You might
with
if you
Bowler
breathe.
Engineering. I'll speak quickly.
Sure.
We have a memo that Ms. Begley was referring to that I'd like to give each of you a copy of.
Sure.
What's within this is CDM's initial report to the town on the requirements for the Springborn pump station, CDM's analysis of whether Walmart's flow could be contributed to the system, and then our analysis of ultimately this is what was installed, the capacity is there, and the town still gets actually more than what they expected they were going to get with the
You
installation
can
of
certainly,
that. So
you
if
can
I could
certainly pass
circulate
it. That would be absolutely
Thank you
fine.
very much.
And Mr. Campino, just to clarify, and I think I asked Mr. Sullivan to ask you this question this week,
Thank
but just to clarify, when you say there's enough capacity, that includes those numbers that I had to go out and research back from the previous board. I don't think it might have even been the board before, in terms of the expansion and all the potential and everything else that we went to that meeting and brought all those numbers back to the board. When you say you have capacity, includes all those numbers, correct?
The numbers
For
included.
the hotel, for the conference
That's right.
center.
The
for
50,000, it includes Phase 1 and Phase 2. It includes the hotel, the conference center, another building to be unnamed, the second building at Rosebrook, and I think one other building they proposed. The 50,000 gallons, yes, it includes every bit of that. In those numbers, as you'll see in your report, it's factored in.
And it
Anything beyond that,
includes
I can't
citizens.
speak of.
And it
That's-
includes the citizens, the
Yes, it includes.
pending contract.
Absolutely, it includes Contract 3, which is Agawam and Mayflower.
Right.
It includes all fill-in in all previous of the 12 Seward areas, any fill-in. It also includes I&I calculations. It also includes any businesses that may fill in the industrial park. All that's been factored in the report by CDM and Woodward and Curran. All those numbers within that report. The 136 that we have left over after all those calculated numbers is what we're working on. And that's the number that we're being very consistent with. When that's gone, we're done. Yes, absolutely.
I just want to make sure that, that because we spent a lot of time, Mr. Andrews arranged all that. I think Mr. Gifford was there, you were there.
Absolutely, and-
right?
absolutely.
Charbonneau was there, the planner, and all those people came together to talk about that whole area, that whole piece of property, to give it- the board a number, because in the contract that we signed, it says unlimited, we'll give you whatever.
That's right.
And the board authorized me to move forward to organize that meeting. And I forget what the total number was, 122, I think 142, whatever
Something
it
like
was.
that. I'm not sure what the number
And
was,
that
yeah.
would be if they developed a tree into an apartment complex. I believe that's where that number came from.
And I think that, because I
So they
remember
could
the
never
numbers.
go over that number.
But
That
there
was the
is,
number.
as you say, there's an unspecified amount, and I think I had made a statement that really became politically incorrect. But we don't know that, and I can't speak to that. I can only speak to what we know and what's in writing as to what they're developing, what they've committed to develop. That's all we're talking about.
If you're saying you don't know,
I don't
you
know.
were at the same meeting I was at.
Yes, so at that meeting, the numbers they gave us that we're
Right.
speaking of are covered. That's in that report.
okay.
Anything greater than that, I can't speak
Well,
of.
Well-
unless they're going to develop 495, there was nothing greater that
Well,
could come out of that.
Well, there was a whole development area, an overlay district, so there were some things that we hadn't discussed. So that's nothing to do with this meeting or what we're talking about.
Okay. I'm going to follow up on that, though, before our next
Absolutely. I mean,
because I'm not liking that answer. It doesn't sound solid. Okay. Anything else? So we will move. I will look forward to hearing from Attorney Grabowski. And when he says that an agreement's been reached, or there is no agreement, then we'll put it back on the agenda and put this to bed.
Thank you, Mr.
Fair enough? Okay? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, should we return to the agenda as printed?
Yes, please.
We are on item 6.
And thank you very much, Mark, for coming in. I know you
Thank you.
have somewhere to go. Mrs. Begley?
Item 6, consent agenda, authorization to sign bills and documents.
Yes.
And we currently have a invoice from Blattman, Bobrowski, and Mead.
Right.
So I make a motion that this board pay the balance due of $15,000 to Blattman, Bobrowski, and Mead. This invoice is dated 8/20/2012, invoice number 8010.
Motion made by Mrs. Begley, seconded by Mr. Titlebaum. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 400.
The next item under consent agenda is appointment of delegate and alternate for the Plymouth Carver Aquifer Advisory Committee.
We received a letter dated July 30th, 2012. An invitation, this went out to all selectmen, I believe. On behalf of the Plymouth Aquifer Advisory Council, I'm writing to ask you to appoint one voting member and one non-voting alternate from the town of Wareham to the Plymouth Aquifer Advisory Committee. Of the 7 towns in the, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but in the 7 towns of Plymouth Aquifer region, only Wareham is not represented on our committee, and we strongly suggest that you join us as we continue to inform, explore, and work together in our greatest natural shared regional national resource. The alternate member may vote in the event that the primary delegate is absent.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this, both members required to be on the board? I thought that our previous delegate had been a citizen at large.
I thought so too. Mr. Tadabah, I think a family member of yours.
Yes, my late mother was the last delegate from Wareham to this board, so it does not have to be a member of this board.
So
it
we
can be a citizen, it can be a town employee, it can be, frankly, anybody.
So we can ask for, if anyone can apply to do this. And just to clarify, this would be the commitment to this committee. We welcome your participation and look forward to meeting with any prospective delegate and or alternate appointee to this committee. We meet every second Thursday of the month at the Carver Town Hall in meeting room number 4. Any prospective delegate and or alternate are welcome to the next meeting. Well, you missed it.
Yeah.
August 9th.
Yeah, probably more.
And would like to attend
Yeah, they
prior.
missed today's too.
The next meeting will be October.
If
up
you
there.
would like more information about the work, please contact their chair, and
Next
that's
meeting
Sarah
will be
Hewins,
October 9th.
Carver delegate. So the next meeting is October
Right. The 9th.
the 9th. So shall we put this out for any citizens that may be interested?
Whatever you want to do. That's why it's here. Comments? Mr. Slavin?
This particular committee, that Wareham was involved for quite a while and then dropped out. It's not unusual to have a conservation agent, board of health agent. A lot of the members actually are town department people, so it's not an unusual thing. You can have someone outside as a regular citizen, but in this particular committee, it doesn't always happen that way.
Well,
Are you suggesting that Mr. Sullivan appoint someone?
We appoint,
We appoint?
but it doesn't have to be sitting there if you want to have citizens. You could simply do something as simple as, say, the department, our health agent could be the delegate, and the alternate could be basically the conservation agent, which is Dave Bichette.
well,
If you look at the makeup of that particular committee, that's a very common thing.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
a couple things about that. First of all, Peter's mother wasn't a department head. Right? Or an elected official. And, I hesitate to just go ahead. I don't know. And I thought that there was another citizen. There was another citizen.
That was
Ed Pasevich was on this committee as
Right.
well.
That was 3 years ago. My mother was not a department head, but she had a degree in biology and a minor in conservation, so she did have some specific individual expertise.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that your mother wasn't more than qualified to be on this committee. But what I'm saying is that I hesitate to appoint a town employee and add to their responsibilities without their input. And I frankly would like one of the positions to be a citizen at large that's interested. This is an opportunity. I mean, it's the Plymouth Carver Aquifer Advisory Committee, so it covers the towns of Bourne, Carver, Kingston, Middleborough, Plymouth, Plimpton, and Wareham. So I hesitate to appoint someone from the town that's employed by the town and add to their responsibilities without any kind of input from them.
Yeah, I'd be open to myself, open to 1 and 1. After some discussion with Mr. Sullivan, and allow him to discuss with the individuals from those departments if one of them would like to do it. I think it'd be nice to have somebody from the town and a private citizen, because at least the person from the town is constant.
Right. So we could certainly ask anyone that's interested in the community and then certainly advertise the position for a citizen at large. I'm not sure what terms we're discussing. Is it a 2-year term, a 3-year term, indefinite until can't go anymore?
Yeah, it doesn't really say. Well,
I don't know.
it's up to us. It's not up to the Plymouth County.
Oh, no, that was a question for the board.
Oh, yeah, I would say that the employee would be permanent, and then a citizen, I don't know, we
Maybe
could
3
do it
years.
every 2 years or whatever,
3 years,
whatever.
keep it
Yeah.
standard.
That would make sense. So one, we will, Mr. Sullivan, if you would, please take that under advisement, discuss it with those individuals, and see if someone truly would have a passion for this. You don't want it to just be another piece of the job, right?
I will.
And then we could, as a board, open it up and have interviews like we do. Is that good? So at this time, I'd like to make an announcement that the Board of Selectmen is actively seeking a member of the community to serve on the Plymouth Carver Aquifer Advisory Committee. The meetings, so you know, are held on the second Thursday of the month at the Carver Town Hall. If you're interested in this position, please fill out an online committee application or go to the Selectman's office at Town Hall and see Janet or Shirley, and they will give you the application to fill out. And then we'll go through the normal process when we do appointments. Anybody we get will come in on the third Thursday. Thursday on my brain now. The third Tuesday, we'll do the interviews and make the selection process. And in the meantime, Mr. Sullivan, you know, if you can get back to us with the, if you got that employee that's excited and passionate about the position,
Plug and holes.
yeah, they can actually begin attending meetings right away.
Okay.
And then we'll get this done. Is there anything else? Is that acceptable?
It's fine.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Thank you very much.
The next item on the agenda, Mr. Chair, is item number 7, licenses and permits, change doing business name for the farm stand at Tyhonet Village, LLC,
Yes.
common vic license.
We have
Anybody here?
Good evening. My name is Linda Burke, and I work for the aforementioned third party.
There you go.
Oh, got it.
Un-
There you go.
Unfortunately,
Boy,
I can't.
you know, I'm awful slow on the
No,
take
we
tonight.
can't talk about that under, we can't talk about that under
Yeah,
design.
let's
understand that.
stick to the renaming of the farm stand.
Yes, I'm here this evening to request that you approve the renaming of the former Tyhonet Village Market to Makepeace Farms. We closed the market last December and reopened this month with a renewed emphasis on fresh local produce and cranberry products, and the new name reflects that change of philosophy.
Okay. Any questions by the board?
So, to clarify, the new name is the farm stand at Tyhonet Village?
That's the LLC under which we operate.
so-
The DBA is Makepeace Farms.
Makepeace Farms. Okay. Thank you.
And you have an actual you actually have an email, webmakepeacefarms.com.
We do.
That's very nice. Anything else from the board? Have a motion, please?
Certainly. I move that we authorize the change of doing business name for the farm stand at Tyhonet Village, LLC, common vic license to Makepeace Farms.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? 400. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck. Next.
Next item on the agenda, Mr. Chair, is change of hours, the Stone Bridge.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you, Justin?
I'm good.
Was
I'm
that
good.
you out there the other day with the headphones on, with those things?
Oh, I don't
Did
know.
you clean that area up across the street?
I don't know.
It wasn't you?
No.
No. There was somebody out there with a weed whacker, and
Yeah.
it looked like you. I was going to say thank you.
Huh.
Somebody did a very... Did you see it? Before you go over the bridge heading towards the house on the right?
No.
Somebody cleaned all that up with a weed whacker.
You know, that may have been the Onset Bay, people from the Onset Bay Association. Was it Linda? Yeah.
Yeah, whoever it was, they did a nice job. It looked like you with that thing
Yeah.
on your head. Go ahead. Okay, what do you want to do? What's your request?
Basically, as I've grown, and Onset seems to be growing, there's more attention to, there needs to be more attention on my part to my hours and when I'm open and when I'm closed. So I laid out more specifically my hours. Unfortunately, because I'm part of Marina, it's very seasonal, so I have it broken out. It's kind of complicated, but 3 different, my summer months are basically I'm open all the time practically. And then there's these shoulder months where I want to be open just for lunch, say on the weekends. And then the winter months where I'm basically open 5 till 10 every night except Friday, Saturday, where I'm open till midnight. I talked to Shirley about it in the office, and she said, yeah, it's lengthy, but she can throw it on the back of the license. That way if, let's say someone calls the police, they think I'm not doing what I should be, the police can just walk in, pull the license from the frame, look up at it in the back, and it's clear as day for them. Lays it all out. And yeah, I've been there 10 years, so this would be easy for me to just do it this way. And that way a lot of people maybe try to close early in the winter, but they're not really doing what their license states. I can just do what my license states. And that'd be it.
Questions?
I have a question. When you say open Halloween weekend, Friday and Saturday night, it's ambiguous to me. Is it the weekend before Halloween? Is it the weekend after Halloween? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it seems like Halloween weekend always falls on...
But that's an ambiguous request. Do you know?
Right.
Halloween is on a Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What if Halloween... This year it is, isn't it?
It is. I'm looking at
Yeah,
Halloween's
it's-
on a Wednesday, so which weekend...
It's going to be weird, but I think most people do it after the
don't
Halloween
know.
happens. But like, say Halloween falls on a Monday. You know what? Why don't we just strike it, and I'll just write a letter on Halloween regarding Halloween, because I really would rather only be open like one day, do like my 1 day bash instead of like trying to cover Friday and Saturday. I
You're
just do
making
like
more
the
work for
Saturday
yourself.
night.
So just to clarify so that people know, because did you type this or did Shirley do it? Because you kind of had it.
I did, and then I emailed it to
Okay.
her.
This is the request. Columbus Day to the second Sunday in April. Open Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, 5 to 10. Open Friday and Saturday, 5 p.m. to midnight. From the second Sunday in April to Memorial Day and Labor Day to Columbus Day.
It's confusing.
Open Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Open Friday, 5 p.m. to midnight. Now this is new. Open Saturday, 12 noon to midnight.
Yeah.
and open Sunday 12 noon to 10 p.m. So you're proposing to open for lunches
Correct.
at that time. Memorial Day to Labor Day, open Tuesday through Sunday, so you're going to have lunch and dinner every day, 12 noon to midnight.
Yep.
Open Valentine's Day, so that's whatever day that falls on, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Open New Year's Eve, 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. Open July 4th, 12 noon to midnight. We're skipping Halloween. Open Memorial Day, 12 noon to 10 p.m. Open Labor Day, 12 noon to 10 p.m. And closed Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Easter Sunday.
Yes.
That's all of it. Strike open Halloween weekend until he figures out, because Halloween's on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Bowen, this does not have to be a public hearing for any of the neighbors?
I wondered that myself, but when I filled
gotta
out the
ask the question.
application, it didn't
Gotta ask the
for it.
question.
Yeah.
Just reviewing the application. What, change of hours? Just to change the hours, yeah. Or liquor license. Mr. Chairman, with your permission. The change of the formal hours on a liquor license is considered a modification of a liquor license. And when you modify a liquor license, you do need to notify the abutters in advance that there is going to be a modification of the license.
So, right now, we are in a position of just having the discussion and need to move. The only way we can move forward on this is to have a public hearing. Mr. Bowen.
Yes, ma'am. Unless when the licenses are issued, you built in some kind of flexibility into the conditions of the license, this would be considered a modification of hours. That is a modification of the license that does require notice to the abutters and a public hearing.
So we can't act on this tonight, Justin. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Gotta
But
do what we gotta do.
it has to be fair. So if Shirley could put the notice out as soon as possible, and it's a 2-week process.
Yep.
And the abutters have to be notified by certified mail. I mean, you've had public hearings before, and go through the process and get you on the agenda that follows that process as soon as possible, Mr. Chair? This is unlike, can I be open on Valentine's Day? Because it's a significant,
Right.
it's
Right.
significant change.
Okay.
And in the meantime, if there's anything in there in the next 2 weeks, he could send a letter.
Is there anything in the next 2 weeks
through his
because,
through the normal email process.
is there anything in the next 2 weeks unless you want to, is it a change for your Halloween weekend? The hours that you want? Oh.
No, like, it would be, I have a daughter who's under 1 year old, and I would love to be home Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday night, but if I could close at 10 instead of being open to midnight, I used to just lock
You
my door
don't
and
have,
go,
I don't
but-
think you have to apply for that, and I could be wrong. I think you just have to notify the office that you're closing early, and
Yeah.
I think that the office notifies the police department. But you don't have to apply to close earlier.
Right.
You just have to
Right,
notify
just
the
write a letter.
appropriate places.
Yeah, but now legally, as I understand it, you can't really do that unless you're altering your premises or under construction of some kind. That's how
Oh,
I've
no,
understood it in the
no,
past.
No.
It's only if it's over a 2-week period.
Over a 2-week period.
Oh, for
so
over a
if
week.
if
Oh,
you
okay.
had if you knew okay, next Friday night I'd really like to close at 9 p.m. You just have
Yeah.
to notify the appropriate places. You just let our office know,
Right.
and
Okay.
she should be notifying the police department.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Is that
More-
correct?
Yeah, it's more of an issue of public safety and just keeping track of who's open and who's not.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do is send the
Yeah.
email.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds
In the
fair enough.
meantime, we'll get this done.
All right.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you,
All right.
Justin.
Thank you.
Okay, on the next item on the agenda is pawnbroker's license, Spindle City Pawnbrokers.
Good evening, members of the board.
Good evening.
Members of the board, my name is Peter Solino. I represent Spindle City Pawnbrokers as general counsel. I maintain law offices at 550 Locust Street in Fall River, Mass. To my right is Aaron Tetrault. Aaron is the sole director, officer, and stockholder of Spindle City Pawnbrokers. We're here before you tonight because we have a purchase and sale agreement on real property located at 194 Main Street here in Wareham. The purchase and sale agreement is conditioned upon my client obtaining the necessary licenses to run his business, which are inclusive of a secondhand dealer's license as well as a pawnbroker's license. Mr. Tetrault buys the properties. He is not a tenant. He does an excellent job in terms of number one, rehabbing properties, and number two, maintaining them to a standard that's probably not customary for others in his business. He runs a clean operation. The proposed hours that are before you tonight are Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, with Saturdays open 9 to 4. There would be a manager on site at all times monitoring the procedures. Mr. Tetrault owns locations in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, specifically 13 other locations. In addition, a wholly owned subsidiary of the company, which is known as Spindle City Precious Metals, is authorized to operate in 40 states. So Mr. Tetrault does business online as well as in remote locations by flying employees to those various states. So we're here before you tonight to seek the issuance of a secondhand dealer's license together with a pawnbroker's license. And with that, I'll accept any questions the board has.
Mr. Titlebaum?
Along with our package here that we received are several provisions from the Massachusetts general laws requiring certain record-keeping requirements of pawnbrokers. I guess my question is then, have you ever been cited for any violations of the Massachusetts general laws regarding record-keeping?
I'll let my client answer that question.
As a pawnbroker in one of our pawnbroker stores, we have not, as a gold buying kiosk in the Danvers Mall, we had a employee not following our procedures, which was then cited for not following procedure. Yes. Since then, we have fired the employee, and we've closed down that operation.
What was the disposition by the state on that?
It was by the city. It wasn't by the state. And the disposition was they could give us a 2-month suspension, and we decided not to reopen because of economics.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you gone before
Mr. Slavin?
Sorry, have you
Sorry.
gone before any licensing boards for the property to convert over to a pawn shop?
The subject property?
Yes.
No, we have not.
So you've not had any discussion with any of the neighbors in the area?
No, we have not.
Thank you.
Mrs. Begley?
To follow through on that question that Selectman Slavin asked, not going through the appropriate licensing boards, we have in our possession, in our packets, there's a petition in opposition. And I will read the cover letter, but there are 3 pages of signatures here from citizens in Wareham. And to the Honorable Wareham Board of Selectmen, we the below interested businesswomen and men, town residents, and other concerned parties to hereby petition this Honorable Board to deny the junk dealer pawn license application submitted by Spindle City Precious Metals for use at or about 194 Main Street. In support of this petition, the undersigned state that the use of said premises is not best suited for a junk pawn shop, as it appears that no study has been performed to the increased impact of increased traffic that such an establishment would incur. No study has been performed as to whether or not there is adequate parking. No study has been performed as to whether another such establishment, only a block from an existing pawn shop, would affect the criminal activity in the area, thus having a potential negative effect on town resources. No study has been performed as to whether such an establishment should be restricted to a certain zoning district away from the village area. And finally, there should be enforcement of license requirements for existing businesses to operate, but do not under the remaining license available. Now, our bylaws restrict us to 5, but the argument can be made that we may have more than that, since we do have some jewelry stores that do purchase used jewelry, which would be a metals dealer. I'm hesitant to approve this evening until you went before the licensing boards, or we had more time to consider some of the petitioner's complaints. And we also have a letter from a concerned citizen that would ask us not to approve this license.
Anything else from the board? Mr. Slavin?
I just have a few concerns. We have an existing pawn shop on Main Street already, and the traffic and the walking traffic as well is creating some issues. I'd be a little more secure in making any judgment or once we have some kind of report from the police department about the operation and what the effect is on Main Street. That particular location is close by the hospital. I think there's a hospice area down the street there a little bit. The parking in that particular location is behind the building, so there's not a lot of room there. Then there's some private area there, and across the street there is a funeral home as well. And it's just the location makes me a little concerned, because basically people could be in the back and we could have more things going on that we can control. So I'd like to see a little more information.
The parking, to address that question, the parking is part of the parcel that we are purchasing, which comes with 18 parking spaces.
I'm not worried about the number of parking spaces. I'm worried about the location. It's behind the store, and it's kind of hidden back there unless you see it. I'm concerned about activity.
Selectman Slavin, what type of study would you be proposing from the police department? If the parking is in a fixed location, I don't see what type of study would indicate anything to you that would solve what you just said.
It's not a study. I just want a report from the police department what their feelings are about a pawn shop in that location. They're the ones that have to interact with the pawn shop on a constant basis.
Okay, so it would just be you're looking for a subjective opinion from the police department?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think objective is actually the word here. We want them to assess, I guess, their difficulties in policing an area such as that, and if they have any concerns, to bring them to us so that we can make an educated decision. If they don't have any concerns, then that comes, comes in that way. So I think my suggestion would be for this board to continue this until such time as we can hear from the police and at least get that information before us before we do make a decision.
Fair enough. Fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Anything else? I'm going to be just perfectly blunt with you, sir. I didn't like the last one, although I supported it. And pretty much everything I said that bothered me about a pawn shop, because you can call it precious metals, you can call it, it's fancy terms. Bottom line is it's a pawn shop, basically. And I got to tell you, I wish I could go back and rescind that vote, because I'm not very happy with the other place on Main Street. We just spent in this town over $1 million in that, right where we're talking about putting another pawn shop. There are, not that I'm against pawn shops, in that particular spot, I don't think I could support it in terms of economic development in that area. We're going into phase 2. There are plenty of buildings in town that you can purchase and put a pawn shop in. I'm not a big fan of that one. So I'm just being honest with you, okay?
And I appreciate your honesty.
You know, the other one, can't say a lot about that right now, but I mean, there's been vehicles in the street, there's signs all over the place. It just looks like a dump some of the time, and we're looking at that on the town side. So there are plenty of buildings around. You know, we have a nice plaza in East Wareham where we have empty storefronts, plenty of foot traffic. Look at those areas. Right in the old Walmart Plaza, or maybe the old Walmart Plaza. We have nice stores in there that you guys can go in there and do some work with. There's plenty of foot traffic. But I'm not a big fan of Main Street, so I'm just being honest with you.
If it wouldn't be a bother, I'd appreciate if you could at least, the closest location that we have besides in Hyannis is in New Bedford. In our downtown, the last building we purchased within a 10-mile radius if you have 15 miles.
So what's the address?
We Union 262, I think it is. 268 Union Street.
Oh.
And the before and after pictures are unbelievable. We've been...
I will drive by there.
Please do.
I'll do that.
And
Yes.
we can
Before we
provide
reconvene.
photographs as well of all the we just bought a plaza in Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
Yes.
That's undergoing construction.
We do a major remodel. We'd be a contribution to your downtown phase 2.
All right.
Not
So,
a negative. 268 Union Street in New Bedford.
Registry of
Registry
Deeds?
of Deeds.
Yes, it's right around the
Registry of
corner.
Motor Vehicles.
And motor vehicles also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was formerly a Portuguese radio station.
All right. So on this, we're going to ask Chief Stanley for a report. Is that right? Mr. Slavin? Chief Stanley for a report. Is there anything else the board needs before we reconvene on this item?
I had a couple comments, but not about this particular business, but on this subject. But I wait to new business, but you certainly don't have to be here for it.
Okay, gentlemen, I think at this point we're going to put this off until the board gets
2 weeks. Yeah.
their information, and Shirley or Janet will send you an email when we get it back on the agenda. Fair
Certainly.
enough?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, please.
Next item on the agenda is the one-day liquor license for professional bartending service.
Yes. I see a familiar face. Good evening, and how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Anthony Jeffrey, and I'm here on behalf of Professional Bartending Service. Certainly. Professional Bartending Service has submitted an application for a one-day permit to provide alcohol service on behalf of AD Makepeace at their facility at Tehonet Road. This function's being held this Saturday, September 15th, between the hours of 4 and 8 p.m. And they expect to have anywhere between 50 and 60 guests attending. And it's a private function.
Okay. Questions from the board before you ask? This actually came in the office, and I had to wait to get it on a...
I understand. And I think this is a point that Mrs. Winslow frequently makes on these, the tips is attached to the application.
That's correct. We have submitted the
Good job.
certification we did. Thank you.
I think she told you that the last time
She
you
did
did,
tell
didn't
me
she?
that, yes,
she
made it very
did.
clear to me.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Do you have a motion, please?
I move that this board approve the one-day liquor license Professional Bartending Services, LLC, for an event for September 15th, 2012, at 158 Tehonet Road, Wareham, Mass., from 4 to 8 p.m.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Titlebaum. Anything else on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
All for? All opposed? Abstain? 400. Good luck. Have fun.
Thank you. And that permit will be
Responsible
available.
fun.
Yeah.
We'll sign that this evening, and
And it'll
you
be
should be able
available
to go
for
tomorrow.
pickup tomorrow. Okay, good. Thank you.
Next
Thank you.
item is use of town property for a fire truck parade. Who's here for that? No one?
We have anybody here representing the fire department? This is pretty much an annual event.
The event date is October 14th.
Right, 2012. Parade will begin at Bessie Park and finish at the Central Fire Station. Kickoff of the event, and then there's an open house until 2:30 p.m. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the permission is given to Wareham Fire Department, care of Captain Dykus, to hold a fire truck parade on Sunday, October 14th, 2012, at 11 a.m. beginning at Bessie Park and finishing at the Main Street Fire Station. It is understood and agreed that the town will be held harmless from all liability as to damage to property or injuries to any persons. This permit is effective October 14th, 2012, and expires on October 15th, 2012.
A motion made by Mrs. Begley, second by Mr. Titlebaum. Anything else on the question? Mr. Slavin?
This is going from Bessie Park over. Do we normally have some kind of information from the police department? That
Oh, it's not
Friday?
attached?
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Maybe I missed it.
Yes, it is. Special event approval form, police department.
Yeah, right on the back here, Alan.
It's in the back.
Okay.
EMS personnel included.
And it's to be handled by on-duty personnel.
The ambulance request, et cetera, is all in the back.
Do you see it?
I didn't have it on mine.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's here.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 400.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is we're back to sewer business, Mr. Chair, and set EDU rate. So come on up,
Mr.
guy.
Campino. Good evening again, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Could you explain your recommendation to the board and what that
yes.
recommendation is?
Well, I emailed Mr. Chairman. I'm recommending that we set the EDU rate at the same 596, I believe it is, and move forward with the current. I had explained that, first of all, we need to set it to get billing out. We're a little behind the 8 ball, and so we wanted to get that set. Secondly, one of the reasons why I think we should leave it the same is that we've been diligent in trying to live within the means of what we're getting, realizing that we're going to have to slowly ask for increases in the future to meet our obligations as they continue to rise. And some of the things that we're going to be obligated to do in the coming year due to our permit. We're in the process right now of renewing our permit and bringing into play many things, specifically CMOM, which is really addressing infrastructure maintenance, infrastructure repair. So what I'm saying is right now we'll stay the same. In the next coming months, I'd like to sit down and attack what we really have to do in the future and start adjusting the ED rate slowly over the years to meet our obligations specific to CMOM and other things. I know times are tough, but at the same time we need to continue to operate, and our costs are going up. But we've been able to maintain chemical costs. We've actually trying to become more productive in our hours. We're doing more educational things so we can do more on ourselves in plant, thereby trying to decrease our outside costs. So we're doing everything we can to keep the costs down. So I'm confident that we'll be all right this year, but in the future, I think we'll be needing some increments, and we'll work on that diligently and get you a good plan as where we need to go.
Good. Thank you very much. Mr. Titlebaum. Any questions for Mr. Campino? You don't have to make any up if you don't have any. You can
Well,
just say no.
just kind of mulling up how to phrase
I don't want to
it.
keep putting you on the spot, but you know you're going to be. I always go left.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You're confident that this rate is going to be adequate to fund your operations for the coming year. You're not concerned about any changes in material costs. I mean, I know that we seem to be experiencing a cost increase in energy supplies at the moment. So I just want to make sure that we're setting this conservatively, and by conservatively I mean that you're not coming to us with hat in hand after 10 months saying, uh-oh.
I don't see that at all. I confidently say that we should be able to meet our obligations presently, even considering some of the increases. Each year we go out for chemicals. That happens in December of each year. And over the years, we've been able to go out more national opposed to the local guys. So it's really helped us cut the costs there. For an example, methanol is a very volatile product, and by going out nationally, we've been able to keep the price down. So I confidently believe that we can maintain at $5.96 and continue to, to offer quality service as we're trying to, and I think we'll be fine.
Okay, well, based upon that representation, I'd be inclined to support that number.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Slavin.
Thank you.
You don't have to make anything up.
Oh, I won't have to make anything up here. I have some concerns. One, we really have never had a proper financial statement through the water pollution control facility. I could probably throw any number out there and maybe prove it, maybe not. We don't really know where we're at. I think this is something that should be a priority. If we have a master plan for the water pollution control facility, whatever, we need to know what our real cost is, because I think we have a real issue. We just had an issue in Onset where we had a break, which I went down and saw, and that little break cost us over $20,000 for some pipes that were put in the 1970s. We're not putting any money away for future capital replacement of the infrastructure. I would be nobody's going to like what I'm going to say, but I believe we should be adding 2 or 3% to the cost of the EDU on a yearly basis for putting away for capital expenditures, because right now we have nothing put away. I believe you have an emergency fund of about $90,000, and that's it. And what happens is we could easily exceed that with any real accident going on, and I have real concerns long term. So I'll approve the rate for now, but come a year from now, I want to see a profit and loss statement, and I'm going to definitely recommend an increase in the EDU rate percentages as far as for future capital. Thank you.
I agree with you 100%, Selectman Slavin. I really do. I have in my briefcase called CDMUS, SCDMUS, sponsored by the Environmental Protection Agency, that speaks specifically to what you're talking about, because infrastructure is a national problem, and their suggestion 3%. Added to our budget annually for infrastructure issues. So I have that program. We're also talking about interns that it's trying to help us develop just the concept of grabbing our accountability and accounting of flow. So we are working and moving to answer those specific questions and problems that you're addressing, because yes, infrastructure is a major concern. We've got much money in the ground, and we have to start taking care of it, and we need the money to do that. So I agree, and we are going to develop a capital plan, and we'll take care of that. Well taken. Well taken.
Do you, to Mr. Slavin's question, do you have, you must have something, a financial report on true operations of that facility that you base this number on?
I do. I can.
You must have monthly.
I do. What I do is I use our present system.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
And here's what I'm proposing to you, is that as I'm doing these agendas, that maybe on the third week of the month or whatever, we'll pick a week, first week, second week, and then as part of your sewer business, and we're doing this with the accountant as well, as part of your sewer business report, that you could give us a financial update for that month and just keep us all posted. That'd
Absolutely.
be okay with you? You agree with that?
I agree. I've been asking for that for quite some time. We'll do our very best.
What week's best for you?
Yes. What
week's
works
best for you to give us a picture of the month?
There is no such thing as a best week. They're all the same. They're all tough. You pick one and I'll meet it.
Okay, so what I'll do is either the second or third week, when we have an agenda item,
throw an agenda
plug
and
in
we'll
your finance report.
And we'll give you what we have.
Thank you so much for volunteering that.
Not a problem.
Mrs. Begley.
You stole my thunder. That's exactly what I
I'm
was going to ask for. However, the other thing that I need from you, Mr. Campina, is you want us to vote on the EDU. And within my motion, I want to know from what date to what date this EDU
It's February. It goes February to January as the EDU year. It's kind of weird. We don't go fiscal. We go February to, we bill in February and August is when we bill. So it goes January to January is the billing year cycle.
So it is the calendar year.
Yes.
So it's really January 1st to December 31st.
Yes, yes. January. We say January to January.
So we're talking about January of 2013.
Yes. So what's happening now is we started in 2012. So we're going to we got out the first half 2012 out. Now we're going to do the second half 2012. And so, but what's historically been happening is we've been setting the rates in July. I don't know why, and I've asked the question. It is what it is. You could set it in January. I mean, it's up to the board to decide
Yep.
that. So we've been doing it historically in July, so we do
Sure,
it. So we're always a half
I
a
just
year.
need it for within my motion.
Yep.
But thank you. Can I make a motion on this, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, I just 30 seconds, if
Sure.
I could. I just want to say that, Guy, you know, I'm a big supporter of yours, and the fact that you're able to come in here tonight, you know this isn't our goal, but the fact that you're able to come in here tonight and keep a level rate is a tribute to your accomplishments and your team. Because since you've gotten here, you've reduced costs and reduced costs and reduced costs on chemicals and supplies and in operations. And only through those efforts of you and your team are you able to do this, because otherwise everything goes up. And you know that at some point the goal is to make this number go down, right? I mean, that's always been our goal, to provide a service, quality service, for the least amount of money to the taxpayer. And so I just want to say thank you. I think you've done well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The game's not over. We got to keep fighting.
No, we got a long ways to go. And we do have a great staff, and they've put up with me. And as I push and push, they've been very resilient, I should say. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Begley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make the motion to set the EDU rate at $596 per year, $298 per billing cycle. That will be effective from January 1st, 2013 to December 31st, 2013.
Second.
I have a motion made by Mrs. Begley, seconded by Mr. Titlebaum. Anything else in the question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained, 4-0-0. Thank you very much, Mr. Campino.
Thank you.
Any other
let me
sewer
just,
business?
Is there anything else?
Any sewer business? Nope. I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Is there anything else on here?
I thought I was going to get out.
No. Okay.
When are we setting the betterment for contract 2,
Mike
Mr.
Judas is on
Campina?
vacation. As soon as he gets back, I emailed him. As soon as he gets back, we'll sit down.
This has been
absolutely.
months, Mr. Campina.
Yes.
That's not here.
It's unacceptable.
You know, I agree. It would be, I would like to set it. There's some issues that.
What are
that
the
we-
issues?
well,
Because everybody needs to know what the issues are. They're
well,
all asking us
I
what the issues
emailed you.
are.
One of the issues that we need to decide 26 Indian Neck Road, what we're going to do with that as far as
With
subtract 26 Indian Neck Road. We're going to subtract that from the betterment. I had emailed that request. It's in, so we need to decide on that. We're also working on adding to the betterment rolls 10 Hawley Street. There was a vacant piece of parcel at the time. Everybody assumed that it was attached to 8 Hawley Street, two separate parcels.
How
you
many?
know-
Don't need to know the
Okay, so,
details of
well-
every property. How many properties are in question?
Two at the
Two
moment.
properties are holding up the entire process.
Well, yes, we're working through that. Also, what's holding up the process is we have an I&I issue. We're trying to resolve that. Now we've got everything done. Now we're down to the hatch that's put in the middle of the road. That's taken quite a bit of inflow. They're working engineeringly, try to how to figure that out, redo the whole road. So, I mean, I can only push, and when I get answers, we'll get them. But right now, CDM and Mike went on vacation, be back this week, and we're addressing those issues. When we wrap up the inflow at Mattapoisett Road, and Mr. Deshays and Mr. Judici are working on the betterment issue. We're down to two issues, and then of course voting on 26. That's it. And I suspect they should be done. I was hoping to have them done by now, but
Has most of this communication taken place by email?
yes.
Could you please forward all of that email correspondence to this
I'll,
board?
and
And
I
Mr.
can, yeah.
Chair, how can we help Mr. Campina
How can we
get
help
this
them?
get this done?
Just,
We've offered that help numerous occasions. What do you
well, we
need?
have.
What do you
Well,
need from
we have.
us?
Yeah, what we'll do is have Mr. Judici here in front of us, and we'll wrap it up. That's all we need. I think a meeting with Mr. Judici.
He has to come all the way down here to wrap this up.
Well, I've emailed. He's got to get back to me.
He's not communicating with Mr. Campina, so
Oh.
yes, he can
That's all
get
I'm
down
saying.
here.
Down
So he
and we
won't
can wrap it up.
communicate with
We pay
So-
him handsomely. Get him down here. Let's set the
Absolutely.
set the
Let's have a
betterment.
meeting. We
Let
can
me
do
try. Let me try Honey first, and then
that. Okay. Absolutely.
we'll put.
No,
the
he's been on
Easter-
vacation for the last 10 days,
I-
and so he's. I mean,
Yeah.
but yes.
Well, if he's on vacation, he could have had. He could have.
Somebody
If he
else
got
done.
the thing before he left, he could have had somebody else call you.
Absolutely. The other
Okay.
things he has. So.
Okay. Mrs. Begley, we need to...
Take something out of order?
No, yeah, we just need to hold on 9A.
Yes, thank you, Guy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guy.
Hold on 9A?
Hold on 9A because there's a couple of things underneath that we have to do before we close that warrant.
Oh,
Okay.
certainly. We're on to item 9, Town Business. We're going down to B, Summer of Celebration Group. Claire Smith. Oh, poor Mrs. Smith, she's been waiting for us.
Good evening, Madam Moderator. Oh, Mrs. Smith.
Good evening.
Yes. Oh, both.
No, Mrs. Smith. It's fine.
Mr. Rudy, brother.
As you're probably aware that in the summer of 2014, there are 2 dates that are important to the town of Wareham and that deserve recognition and celebration. On June 13th, it will be the bicentennial celebration of the attack by the Nimrod on the town of Wareham from the Wareham Harbor. And on July 10th, it will be the 275th incorporation of the town of Wareham. In addition to that, the Cape Cod Canal will be celebrating 100 years, and they are planning an enormous celebration for the last 2 weeks in July, which they started planning about 2.5 years ago. A group of us have gotten together and recognized that any celebration of these 3 events is going to require detailed organization, well thought out planning, funding, and a commitment by the citizens in this town to become involved. And we want to let you know that a small group of us have met a couple of times, and we're willing to initiate and start that ball rolling. We've met a couple of times, and we've discussed quite a few things. It's going to take more than just a small committee of a steering committee, and we've talked about involving the whole community and getting people involved to serve on other aspects of it as well. And what we've done is broken it down into government relations, finances, fundraising, event planning, marketing, merchandising, historic, logistics, public outreach, and volunteer coordinator. We've met with Maria Leva and Mary Lou Payton, who are the Wareham representatives for the Cape Cod Canal celebration, and went over some ideas and thoughts that we had with them. And actually, I think we were pretty pleased when they said, "We don't need to be here. You're right on track with what needs to be done." So I think we're off to a very good start. So we'd like to come before you tonight to ask for your blessing to move forward with this. And as you know, these type of events take a great deal of planning. You need to book in advance. You need to secure people, vendors, events that are going to come here, have calendars. So we really would like to get moving on this. I have to tell you that this group is very energetic. They're very enthusiastic. They've
I see that.
already tossed out numbers of ideas. Let me share just a few. We'd like to keep it historically orientated to celebrate the history of the town. We'd like to open and include our religious entities by having an ecumenical service to kick it off. We'd like to have a parade, a founder's ball. We'd like to have maybe an old home day where we would bring in blacksmiths, a reenactment in the 250th celebration. I don't want to admit to having been around then, but I will. We had a very active militia. A lot of those people are still in town. I'm sure we could get them involved. It would be nice to have a reenactment on the town green. We'd like to get the schools involved in researching the history of the town and the families of the town, the early families of the town, so that the students might portray and do as a school project the bumpuses and the bumps and the fairings and the Tobies and some of the early families. We've got a couple of ideas on that. It would get the school system very involved in the history of our community, get the students involved in it, let them be participants. We're excited about some of the ideas that have come up. We'll talk about maybe what they ate during that period in time, maybe have a cooking contest of those kinds of foods. There's a whole host of ideas. We certainly want to reach out to the community because lots of people, I'm sure, can come up with other ideas that we haven't thought of. We have 2 gentlemen that are interested in contacting and having a real old-fashioned circus come to town. We've talked about having a fireman's muster, but to go a little differently and instead of using modern-day equipment, have the old hand tubs and have a real old-fashioned celebration of how the fire service was in those days. People dressed in costumes. We'd like to have a softball game between the police, firemen, selectmen, town workers, municipal maintenance, whatever. Just make it a real old
Any golf?
celebration.
Any golf in there?
Well, if you want to wear the knickers, we'd sure be able to put something together.
You know
sure.
what? I think I could put on a pair of knickers. Yes.
You know, if you weren't around during the 250th, it really worked out well for the community. It brought a lot of people here. And this will fall in very well with the celebrations of Bourne and Sandwich because our events would be in the beginning of July. The Bourne events happen the last week in July into the first week of August, and then Sandwich would fall into the middle of August. And that's why we've sort of labeled this a summer of celebration, because it's going to start early on and go right through. But we'd also like to include all of the events that do happen normally and get them involved in maybe some historic perspective of what they're doing, and just keep this rolling. So
How can we help?
how can you help is to give us your blessing to move forward. We've come up with an email address I'd like to share so that if anybody in the community wants to jump on board with us, like I said, having all those different committees, we will need lots of help in the planning stages, lots of help physically, when the events come in, but we do have an email. It's 2014 for the year 2014, celebration@wareham.ma.us. So if anyone wants to, 2014, celebration@wareham.ma.us.
So it's a town email?
For the moment, until we could get something, I did ask our town administrator if that would be okay for tonight.
Because this isn't a town-appointed committee, correct?
That's correct, but it is a town celebration. And generally, all of these things that happens in other towns, this is what happens. It is a town celebration. It doesn't necessarily have to be a town-appointed committee. The last one wasn't either.
No, I understand.
Yep.
I just know someone that needed a town email address, and they were told there was no room.
So, again, when you say blessing, what are you asking for?
Just tell us, go ahead, and we'll move. We're ready to go.
Is this something that we need to give permission for, or I don't understand?
I mean, are you asking for our support?
We're asking for your support.
We're not going to appoint a committee.
No.
You're not asking us to appoint a
No,
committee.
we're just asking
You're
you for
asking
the
us
support.
our support.
We're asking
Yep.
for your
Is that correct?
support.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
It's the same thing that happened at the 250th. Sandy's stepdad ran a lot of that, so it's a
All right, whatever.
it's just it's a full community event. Everybody comes in and helps.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic.
Yep.
They recruited me.
That's what I was trying to get to. What do you need from us?
We want you to get involved. We
Wow.
want you to sign on board, and
Well,
if
I'm
we need a
excited.
body to help us do something,
I
we
think maybe the
want you
drama
to say,
club.
I
You
will.
mentioned the kids, right? If you got the drama club up at the schools to put teams together, they could make this part of their play.
Yeah. A historical play.
If it's anything like last year's 9/11 celebration, you have the man sitting right there. I watched that yesterday, brother. You know.
We were all here.
I watched it. I watched that yesterday. It was unbelievable. Anything else, Mr. Tiger?
I think Mr. Bowen might have some interesting information to provide in this regard. Good information.
To Ms. Smith, just while I was hearing about your presentation, a friend of mine is in the Middlesex Regiment of Revolutionary War reenactors, and I've just sent him an email copied to you inviting him to contact you to see if the Middlesex Regiment would be willing to come down and participate in your mock war.
Great. And that's the purpose of coming tonight, because getting this word out, we have all of this energy that other people have that certainly they're willing to share, and this is what will make it work.
Great.
Okay, and Mr. Sullivan, would you look into this email issue, please? Again, it kind of goes to last night that it's a level playing field. If I come in and ask for an email address, I should get it, or not. But it's one way or the other. So would you look into that, please?
about the availability of people obtaining email addresses at a town email address.
I mean,
you
for,
c-
you know,
please.
events and things, I mean, I think that's perfect to use the address, but.
No, it's
you
great,
can't
but-
have- you
but
can't
if-
have one come in and say yes and the other come in and say no. It has
Right.
to be the same.
They must not have asked me.
Yes, would you
So-
check into that, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, well,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much. If there's anything, you know, we're already in almost the end of 2012. This is gonna come very quick.
It's going to come very quick, and that's why we want to get moving on it.
Yeah, it's less than 2 years
Outstanding.
already.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda, Mr. Chair, is discussion with Clean Water Committee and Board of Health.
Yes, thank you. A little bit of background on this. There has been some ongoings back and forth between the Board of Health and a Clean Water Committee, which is an advisory board to the Board of Selectmen. Unfortunately, the Clean Water Committee has taken some action without any authority of the Board of Selectmen. And there's some groundswell that the board may actually now have some legal issues. So my point of this evening is to come in, the chairman of the Board of Health, chairman of the Clean Water Committee, tell us what is going on here in terms of your committee's actions and allegations, how you worked with the Board of Health and how the Board of Health worked with you. And I understand there's now even a state report that came back on these findings.
That's correct.
And Mr. DeFelice, if at the end of this you could tell us what those findings are, because the town here is, we may be at some risk here with these allegations. So, gentlemen, I'll leave it up to you. You're both working cooperatively on this project. I leave it up to
you
you
go ahead.
to
All right.
give us the short version.
Okay,
but
short.
give us a version.
Short version. We made a public records request. We reviewed the records that we requested. That same day, there was a Board of Health meeting. At the Board of Health meeting, I was asked what we had seen. I started to explain that there was a number of documents that were missing. One of the Board of Health members, Dr. Weingant, asked me to specifically, could I write down what we had found with regards to the records request and cite any violations or codes that might have been violated.
Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but what we were asking for, up to date, what was the problem at the Yogi, whatever, Jellystone Park? What the problems were up to date, not what happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but what up to date was going on there that the Clean Water Committee had a problem with. That's what we asked.
Well, there's no way that we could tell what was going on here today. That's all that we provided to them was what we saw as a result of the public records request. Now, that's a potential for problems, and we provided that an email in writing, that response to the Board of Health that they requested. We never heard anything back from them. The next step we took was to send it to you. That's the end. We haven't moved or done anything or sent it to anybody else or talked to anybody else about it.
Wait a minute. I don't mean to interrupt you again, but you sent a letter to Joe Costa of the Buzzard Bay Coalition without telling us, the selectmen, or anybody. Now, why don't you go and talk about that? Why that happened without letting anybody know about it?
We discussed as the Clean Water Committee, we're in constant contact with Joe Costa. He's a consultant to us. We ask him all kinds of questions, and he helped us in developing what we didn't know. We're not experts in this. He told us that there was possible violations. That's what we passed on to the Board of Health.
Possible.
That's all there ever was. We're not, as a committee, we're not in a position to say that there's a violation or there isn't a violation. That's all we said was, we asked to review the documents. The documents were there. The Code of Regulations in Massachusetts say that these documents are supposed to be there. For example, permits issued to put in septic systems. They're supposed to be permitted by the Board of Health.
No, they're not. They're permitted by the state.
That's neither here nor there. They
Yes,
require.
it is here or there.
Well, it isn't. It's the Board of Health and the state and the Department of Environmental Protection are supposed to be working hand in hand.
And
They
we do.
also and the Board of Health also work with the Department of Public Health.
Please, one at a time.
So we provided this information to say is, we asked to see these documents. These documents were not there. There's a potential, a possibility that there's some serious environmental and public health concerns. That's all. We're not experts. We can't tell. And what we were looking for is somebody to take the bull by the horns and say, okay, we're going to look at this and see if there is, in fact, any violations or not. That's all. We haven't done anything with it. We're waiting for your advice.
Well, what about Dr. Coster? Because he had sent an email or something back, and didn't they go investigate this in the last 3 weeks?
Yes, they did. And if I could give you a little...
Was there not, you say nothing's happened, was there not a state report or investigation or something in the last 3 weeks?
I have no idea. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, it has. And I can go over that with you.
Okay, Mr. DeFelice.
Now, I'm going to give you a little scenario.
You can fill in the blanks here?
Basically, I'll give you a little scenario.
Because, quite frankly, all this is going on, and this board was not informed.
That's why we sent it to you.
But none of this really had to do with the Board of Health. But let me give you the scenario of what happened. On May 2nd, Mr. Pasevich requested from the Board of Health 61 documents concerning Yogi Bear's Yellowstone Park, Tusi Enterprises, and Mr. Brock Tusi. 61 documents. All right? Now, there was a give and take for quite a while before we came up with those documents. But on June 20th, Mr. David Bagley, a member of the Clean Water Committee, and Mr. Pasevich reviewed all the documents available on the file with the Board of Health. Okay? Then...
Is that fair so far?
Except for when he said the original request was put in May 2nd. We didn't get to review the documents till June 20th. So there was some resistance to providing access to the documents. But other than that, it's accurate.
All right, thank you.
Geez, I got something right here that says May 2nd, but that's okay.
May 2nd, that's what I said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, well,
Please,
I meant May
continue.
2nd. That's what I had.
Continue.
Yeah. Okay, so on June 27th, the Clean Water Committee reviewed also went ahead and reviewed information from the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds, the campground website on the camp store, the general store, the coffee shop, the function hall, and a number of other facilities throughout the park. Now, we're wondering what's going on here. Okay? With that information, they assumed there were numerous violations and sent a second letter to the Board of Health on August 2nd. On August 21st,
Now, that brings us almost up to speed, because I think you sent the board...
That's correct. A couple of weeks later.
ago that you notified the board that you sent something on August 2nd. I recall that.
At their request, and we did not say that there was any violations. We've never said that there's any violations. We just said that there's a potential, because these documents were not in the files.
Okay. On August 21st, Joe Costa of the Buzzards Bay Natural Estuary Program sent a letter to Stephen Hughes of the Department of Public Health, to Paul Hoffman of the Department of Public Health, to Richard Rondu of the Department of Environmental Protection, to Jeffrey Gould of the Department of Environmental Protection, to Susan Figelman to the Department of Environmental Protection on a complaint received regarding public health and groundwater issues at the Wareham Campground from Mr. Pasevich and the Clean Water Committee. Now, that letter said, "Dear colleagues, we received a copy of the attached letter dated August 2nd from the Wareham Clean Water Committee and the Wareham Board of Health regarding concerns with an apparent lack of discharge permits, inspections, or water testing at a campground in Wareham. I was expecting the Wareham Board of Health to take the matter up at their meeting last week and take appropriate action." Now, I don't know who Joe Costa think he is, but anyhow, to take the matter appropriate. But I learned today that the board canceled the meeting because they had no pressing issues to address. Given the public health and environmental issues raised by this letter, in the apparent failure of the Wareham Board of Health to take action or their alleged failure to require wastewater permits or inspections at the site in the past, I am passing it along to make you aware of the situation so you can ascertain whether or not any state action is appropriate. If you have any questions about the matter, please do not hesitate to call me. Now, I'd like to just say something about Mr. Costa. First of all, he has worked with Mr. Basevich in the past on the zero nitrogen, and he is one of the ones that wanted zero nitrogen in the town on any new homes built.
Right,
So,
okay.
you know, a little overboard. And the thing I bothered me is Joe Costa did not...
Well, hang on a second. I understand, Mrs. Begley.
It won't take me much longer.
You just leave your opinions of Mr. Costa
Oh, no.
out of the conversation.
Well,
because he's not
I've
here.
got to tell you, he didn't have the decency
Well,
to talk
hang
to
on
the
a
Board of
second.
Health.
Hang on a second.
Go ahead.
Opinions, keep them in your back pocket, please.
Okay, that's fine.
We're trying to get
All right.
the
Now-
board, again,
Okay.
we're here this evening to find out what's transpired over the last 3 or 4 weeks here, because there have been actions taken, outside departments notified, and this board has never been asked to authorize any of that.
Yeah, I would think you should have.
And the Board of Health, we don't authorize the Board of Health
Well,
to do
okay,
anything.
now
I understand
here's is what you want to hear. The attached letter was sent to Joe Costa by Paul Hoffman of the Department of Public Health, and also a letter sent to Bob Ethia by Charles Shirtlet of the Department of Environmental Protection. All right, and here's what it said. Joe, on Friday, August 21st, I met in person with Bob Ethia, the health agent, Frank DeFelice, the Board of Health chairman, and Bob Brady, a Board of Health member. Charles Sirtliff from the Department of Environmental Protection Drinking Water Division attended VI conference line. The purpose of the meeting was to review the allegations contained in a letter provided by you from Ed Pasevich, chairman of the Wareham Clean Water Committee, dated August 2nd, 22, addressed to the Wareham Board of Health regarding Yogi Bear's Yellowstone Park, Cape Cod at Maple Park. The letter stated the park may not be in compliance with public health regulations regarding wastewater, disposable drinking water, freshwater, bathing, beaches, and minimum standards for development, family-type campgrounds. After review of the available documents and conversation with the parties in attendance, I found the following. All right? Title V issues raised by Mr. Pasevich were lack of Title V inspections at the time of the property transfer by the local Board of Health and the need for on-site disposable system. The Department of Environmental Protection has the authority over a system of this size. That's what I said earlier. We don't have anything to do with Title V systems. No representatives from the DEP or wastewater division were available. Any concerns regarding the sanitary drainage system must be addressed to the Department of Environmental Protection and not the Wareham Board of Health or the Department of Public Health. 2, the bathing beaches have not been tested or permitted in accordance with the Department of Public Health regulations, 105 CMR 445. The Board of Health issued a permit to operate a bathing beach issued on June 21st, 2012. In addition, water samples provided revealed all samples from 6/1/12 through 8/5/12 are in compliance with 105 CMR 445B1 for fresh water. The Department of Public Health Toxicology Program, who has the authority over the bathing beach regulations, stated they are satisfied with the testing procedures conducted. Now, there is no letter stating the campground is now in compliance with the DEP drinking water regulations, which require a certified operator. That's where he was delinquent. The only place he didn't have a certified water guy. Now he's got, well, I'll finish. Mr. Shirtliff stated the campground is now in compliance and that the DEP does not issue a letter stating that compliance has been achieved. So they are in compliance with that now, all right? In addition, the Wareham Board of Health produced permits for the operation of the campground and operation of the food establishments located on the property. Joe, I recommend Mr. Pasevich contact the DEP for any additional information. Okay?
Have we
Now,
done that?
Just
Ed?
one last thing.
No.
I want you to hear this one. This is from Charlie Shurtleff, Department of Environmental Protection. Nitrates. That's their big deal, the nitrates, okay? Since 6 of 96 to 7/11, do you know what the average nitrates that were going into there? 0.2. Now, 10 milligrams per liter is what's acceptable under 0.2. In 7/11, no detects were found on nitrates. Now, on nitrites, no detects from 1998 to 2011. That's all I got to say. We did our job. It's mostly the DEP that's responsible for that park, and they said there was no problem. I don't understand why the clean water is doing what they're doing to those people.
Thank you.
That's all I got to say.
If I may respond, if you look at our letter in attachment E, for example, a BOH disposal system construction permit at Maple Park, no record on file, and it gives the CMR of requirements to have the permit. That's all we said. We made a request to look at the documents. The documents were not presented to us, so we said, these documents are missing, and here's the citation that says you're supposed to have a permit, a copy of a permit. That's all we did. We do not know whether the documents were missing, whether there is any actual violations. That's all we did was present that to the Board of Health at their request, and then we did not go anywhere else but to you.
Who's Joe
And
Costa?
Joe Costa received a draft copy of our letter, but I had no idea what he did with it.
Oh, he sent it to about 6 people from the DEP.
No, wait a
I
minute.
just
That's,
got
that's
to
Joe
read it.
Costa. That's not me.
Guys, please. I didn't ask this to come tonight for a debate. We're not here to debate.
Fine.
This is not a debate. I'm trying to inform this board, who's responsible for the actions of at least one of the committees involved here, to provide us with information, because there may be some issues down the road here, and we authorize none of this. So the board of Selectmen in the town of Wareham gave no authority to do any of this, and it was by an advisory committee, not even any committee who should have gone outside the town should have at least informed the board before those actions were taken. And this board needs to be informed of what's going on. That's why we're sitting here tonight. Not debating, no personalities. I'm not interested in that.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
We have a responsibility to be responsible here and understand what's going on in our town, because when the letters come in, they come to the 5 of us, nobody else. And that's why I asked for this to be here tonight. Mrs. Begley.
I have a question. And this is just for clarification for this committee, and it's for clarification for other committees that are out there. At what point, if a committee is seeking information, is that when they should consult with the Board of Selectmen? Because my question is this. Then I'll make a comment.
I share that concern.
But then
by the way.
I'll make a comment. However, I don't see how this board, if they have someone that they consult with, can control what that consultant may do with the information. But my comment, and that I guess is kind of rhetorical as well, but my comment is this. What can be done to decrease the animosity and the contention between these two committees? Because I think that both committees are dedicated to preserving the health of this community and should be working hand in hand, because if we both have the same goals at the end, the animosity and the contention is holding everybody back and paralyzing the progress.
Well, do you think 61...
I don't think she was asking you that question. I don't think she's looking for your answer. Right. I've been thinking about this, and there is a difference. I have some issues with town boards and some of the things that they do. Last week we had 2 weeks ago, we had someone in ready to purchase or acquire parking meters. Remember that? And it's like, well, who gave you that authority to even put that money aside? So I have issues with regular boards. But my particular interest with this board, and this is one of the boards, I think we have 6 of them, that are not town boards. These are folks who were appointed by, I think we've appointed 2, well, with this board's only appointed 1. These groups were appointed by previous boards of selectmen as advisory boards to the Board of Selectmen. And yet, there's no advice. There's a lot of action going around, but there's no advice. And so that's my issue with it. I didn't want to get into that discussion tonight. I thought we'd do that next week. I was trying to get to the bottom of this particular incident in the last 30 days because I just fear there's going to be some repercussions. Mr. Titlebaum, any comments?
I guess my concern here is that when you have a consultant like Mr. Costa to a board, it's incumbent upon the board to control that consultant and give them clear direction on what they do with information that's being swapped back and forth between the board and the consultant and whatever third parties they might bring in. I think it's unfortunate that this doesn't seem to have been the case here, and that if, as you say, Mr. Costa essentially kind of went rogue with it. That's he needs
Dr.
to.
Costa.
Dr. Costa. Well, Dr. Costa, he's still, regardless of the appellation before his name, he still needs to consult with you, since you're the people who are paying him or using him or whatever the relationship is, before he takes unilateral action like that. And that's an issue of management and control that I think every board in town, whether they're selectmen appointed, whether they're created by the general laws like your body, Mr. DeFelice, or elected like us, these are things we have to think about. And I'm especially concerned when I see this happening, not in relation to policy matters, not in relation to some of the things that we've seen coming before out of the Clean Water Committee, which talk about town policy and trying to create a nitrogen policy. I understand all that. I may not necessarily agree with those things, but I understand those things as being within the purview of the Clean Water Committee. But I don't see the Clean Water Committee as having been established as an enforcement mechanism on private parties. We've got DEP, we've got Board of Health, we've got Department of Public Health. Those are their functions, and I just, going forward, any committee that wants to try to take on an enforcement capability needs to make sure they actually have that power before they do it. And if that happens through their consultant, they're still responsible for it.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just respond.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
Go
because
ahead. I'm sorry.
You hit it right on the head. We've always had discussions with Dr. Costa. He was provided a draft copy to review. He was specifically told that we weren't going to do anything with that documentation until we got approval from the Board of Selectmen on what to do. That's why we sent you the copy of the document and asked for your guidance. We didn't go anywhere.
I think by the time I had responded to you, if you recall, I think I said something about as an advisory board, please don't take any action.
Correct.
Blah,
And
right? Until you've advised the board or
and we didn't.
Wait for a board authority. Right?
And we didn't. And to Selectman Titlebaum's issue, Dr. Costa was given a draft copy and said, we asked him to please review it to make sure we were correct. That's it. And we said that we would not do any action or take any action until we were advised by the board on what to do. Remember, we're not saying that there's a violation. We're just saying these documents weren't present.
Okay, well, further to your point, and this goes to all the other boards too. When you say to someone, "This is a draft. Please review and comment," you also need to be very specific in your instructions. You've got to say, "Please review and comment, and do not disclose the contents of this document until we," meaning whatever board, authorize such a thing. And in the case of a selectman-appointed board, to the chairman's point, you really should come to us. really before you write the draft and say, what do you think about this? I would suggest that as a good policy, certainly for the advisory boards.
Mr. Slavin, Ed, you all set? Ed?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I've got a bunch of problems. We're not going to discuss all of it tonight. We'll come at a different time. But there's a definite pattern going on here, and the pattern is quite disturbing. And I'll be very direct. Where it seems to be picking on a group or a particular group, and there's stuff going out on the websites about the particular piece of land polluting water. If you'd like, I can show you on a piece of paper that Jellystone Park could not possibly be polluting the Maple Springs because of the location of the wells and those things going on. If anybody bothers to contact the water department, Mike Martin, he'll explain to you that we have a peat barrier which keeps the groundwater away from the fresh water. And if you have issues there, you might have E. coli. The E. coli most likely we had recently is a groundwater issue. But because of what's been going on, I have concerns because I think it puts the town in jeopardy if we sit there and go after someone through a board without any approval of the Board of Selectmen. We're running into serious problems. And I have serious issues with any board that's advisory to go ahead and do things without the Board of Selectmen knowing up front so they can make a decision, because you're putting the town at great risk. And unfortunately, with all the information that's come back, there is nothing wrong with that particular facility, nor is there nothing wrong with the wells up by the Maple Springs and the park. And we will discuss this later.
I would just...
If I may, Mr. Chairman. I would just take issue with going after. We're not going after anybody. That's all we did. If you look at this letter very closely, it just says we asked to review, and without getting into all of this, I was asked by a friend to check out this particular camp area because they were thinking of using it. And I went to the blog reviews and noticed some strange things being reported.
Well, let's not.
Okay, I don't want to get. I don't want to get into it.
Let's not dig our well any deeper here.
No, but
okay?
that's where it started, and that's why we made the request to see the documents. But if you look at this letter, that's all this letter says is that we requested the documents and they weren't there, and there's a citation that says they're supposed to be there. That's all. We don't know anything else.
I'd just like to make one comment. We gave him what the Board of Health had. Most of those documents are with the DEP. That's who controls that.
Understood.
That's where he should have went.
Understood. And, and I just think that a lot of this, we've talked about this for the last, year and a half since Mrs. Begley came on the board. And a lot of this can be corrected. Attitudes you can't correct.
Yes, you can.
Well, you can to some extent, but you can't rule. And a lot of this has to do with policies and procedures.
Well, a lot of this has to do with...
We have an advisory... Can I finish, please?
Cooperation.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. But, if we have a policy and procedure in place regarding these boards, when we set them up, then a lot of these things can be avoided. We just follow the procedure.
If I may, Mr. Chair,
Sure.
I agree with you because I want policies and procedures. They protect the committees and they protect us. They protect the town. It provides boundaries. But I think a great deal of this could have been avoided with the spirit of cooperation between both these boards. I think that had there been open communication, any kind of posturing is not doing either board any good. It's dragging the town down, and I think that the spirit of cooperation is what's going to change things.
I'd just like to add one more thing and nothing else. Mr. Bashevich came on his own. He didn't come as the water committee when he first came and asked us all this stuff. Then he came back when he knew that he was going to be charged a certain amount of money for that paper. He came as the chairman of the Clean Water Committee. So there was a little bit of confusion there. And the Clean Water Committee never asked to meet with us. We would have gladly met with them if they did. But that's all I want to say.
Moving forward, Mr. Chair, if I might,
Sure.
moving forward, Mr. DeFelice and Mr. Pasevich, you can let this weigh you down, or you can move forward from this and work in a cooperative way. And I've asked this question before. What's it going to take for a cooperative working relationship? Because part of this that has dragged this whole situation down is the dysfunction and the lack of communication. So I'm sitting here, and both of you are educated. You're both adults. The committees are comprised of adults. So what is it going to take for a spirit of cooperation? You don't have to agree to cooperate.
Maybe you'd start with an apology from Dr. Costa to the Board of Health for the allegations that he made.
And I understand...
That could be a start.
I understand, Mr. DeFelice, that you have some concerns about this, but truly, and I believe this to be true, I don't believe that, I think that I believe that Dr. Costa went off on his own. I think he may have, and I don't think it was a malicious intent. I believe that this is a person that's this is my personal opinion. It's a person that's dedicated his life to preserving the waterways and the estuaries in this area. That is my, and you may not agree, but that's my personal opinion. And I'm not sure that I can control him, or that the Clean Water Committee can control him, or that you can control him. It doesn't, so whether Dr. Costa apologizes or not shouldn't determine whether or not you folks can work cooperatively.
And
Go ahead.
hang on. And this is where, Mrs. Begley, and we've talked about this again for a year and a half, this is where a policy or a procedure in place would have avoided this whole situation, because any committee that was sending a letter to an outside person would have gone through a process. An email to Dr. Costa or Dr. Jones or to Dr. whatever is a matter of public record when sent by the chairman of any committee, this committee included. And I'll tell you, very few emails do I send out of town that man doesn't read before it goes out.
Well,
so let me finish, please. So what I'm saying is, when an email goes out about anything, it's not vetted by anybody. The Board of Selectmen doesn't even know it went out. And then next thing you know, there's a big hullabaloo. We're responsible, the five of us, for an advisory group. And what I'm saying is, if that letter had come to us first, or any committee would have sent the chairman or any member an email saying, hey, we have an issue, we want to come in and get on the agenda and talk about it with the Board of Selectmen. We advise the board, it's the only reason that committee exists. To be an advisory committee, there are about 6 of them, to be an advisory committee to this board. And for them to take any action without us knowing about it, I think that crosses. And what I'm saying is, if they had brought it here first, we could have had that email to anybody, vetted, make sure that it was appropriate, within the bounds, and then send it out. And then if somebody did something with it, that's a foul. I understand that part. But by not following that small process, which takes a day with emails today, we could have avoided a lot of hullabaloo. That's just my opinion.
Well,
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I agree with your opinion. I'm sorry to cut you off, Ed. I agree with your opinion, and I think that we can pound on this, pound on this, pound on this. But moving forward, how are we going to change things? One, we're going to write a policy so that there's a clear policy as to how advisory committees function. And number 2, I'm still waiting to find out how there's going to be a cooperative relationship, because I don't see that this is benefiting any member of the town of Wareham. For there to be animosity for 2 very important boards, an important board and an important committee for the health and safety and well-being of the citizens of this town, working against each other or tripping each other up or having conditionals on how you're going to work together. We're adults. You don't have to like each other to work well together.
I'd like to say one thing. Mr. Vasevich has come in front of the Board of Health many a times, and we treated him fairly every time. I don't have animosity towards that board. I have animosity what happened here, and that shouldn't have happened. And before I leave, I want to hand each one of you what I said.
You know, maybe one thing is, to just provide a little levity, because we always need that once in a while. I would recommend I see Mrs. Smith is still here. Maybe one way to deal with these issues is to have the boards who have problems with each other practice up front these conflicts in the town park, and every time we get one, we'll just call the summer celebration team together and have a battle in the town park against the committees. I agree. Listen, adults are adults. We need to move along here. But I believe that, especially advisory committees, where we don't even have a liaison here because it's an advisory board.
But I think that
either we make it at some point it's not on the agenda, but either we make it a board or committee, we appoint a lead, so the board of selectmen have some involvement here.
But sometimes I find,
That's all I'm asking.
But I find, Mr. Chair, when there isn't good communication avenues and that people can have a discussion about things that may concern them. I mean,
Right.
maybe had there been really excellent communication, or what are you looking for? How can I help you? Attitude amongst people, then you kind of avoid the information request. You avoid looking. There has to be a spirit of cooperation for the ultimate good of the town, and that's what I'm looking for.
I agree. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. Mr. Chairman? Gentlemen, can we bring this in for Landon?
Just quickly, while I think it's nice for people to cooperate, but the issue here is I think the Clean Water Committee was looking for the Board of Health to take action in an area where they had no statutory purview. It's a DEP permitted water system out there.
Then you
They've
have a
got nothing to do
conversation.
with that. And at
Right,
that
right,
point,
but
you
I
can't
think
have cooperation when there's nothing to be had.
Then you have a conversation.
When the plane's coming in for landing, it's not supposed to be hit by a lightning bolt. I think that's what we just discussed, Mr. Teitelbaum. I don't think anybody disagrees with you. In the question is moving along.
Yeah.
And I don't mean landing the plane. I mean, Mrs. Begley raises good points. I believe that the board should have a policy for our advisory boards. And I think if we had one, and that email if we were the first 5 people to hear about this issue, all of this hullabaloo would never have happened. That's my opinion. And if we had a policy in place, we're not strapping a committee. This is an advisory board to the 5 of us. It's not a regular committee.
I think that having conversations and discussions could have avoided a lot of this.
I agree. The number one issue here was communication. Gentlemen, I want to...
Okay. One quick comment, if I may. Thank you. The reason we didn't go to DEP because we wouldn't go without checking with you first.
I sent you that email.
But we wouldn't have went anyway. That's why we came to you. The second thing, the question about animosity, I don't feel it, and I don't think Frank feels it.
I don't.
We worked for almost 2 years together on the nitrogen regulations. We were at every meeting working together. Now, we didn't always agree, but we worked for...
I don't think we ever agreed.
Well,
That's okay.
but 18 to 24 months we worked together. I don't see an animosity. Breakdown of communications? Yes, because they requested it, we provided it, and then it seemed to drop in a hole. Nothing came back, so we moved it up to you. That's what happened.
And, and maybe even part of that, and not to delay this any further, but maybe even part of that policy and procedure says when somebody makes a request of our advisory committees, that we're at least copied so we know what's going on. I mean, it could be that simple, and this could have been resolved much easier and much quicker. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I know the hour's late. We
Thank you,
appreciate
Chief.
you coming in. And this way here, we've cleared the air here, and everybody's up to speed, and we can move along. Thank you very much, Ed. Thank you, Frank.
Moving
Okay.
along, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, we got those. Thank you, Frank.
Are we
have
going to come back?
D
Oh,
and
sorry.
E.
Thanks. Thank you.
If we could do D and E, and then we can go back to A and make sure.
All right. We're on, still under town business. We're on item D. Vote to send
Yes.
letter of support for the meals tax.
Yes, we assigned Mr. Slavin to follow up on the meals tax and the sewer commissioner's articles from town meeting. The meals tax has moved forward, And one of the recommendations from the folks at the state was the Board of Selectmen send a letter of support to our delegation and others. If you would fill us in.
Just to fill everybody up to date, the bill had finally got worked on by our Representative Gifford, and it had moved along into first committee, and this letter was basically to help them push it along. What has happened today, just before I came here, I got an email from Heather, who is Susan's aide. I'll read it to the record. Hi, Alan. Not sure if you and the BOS already sent a letter to steering, but they released the bill yesterday after receiving ours, and it was on today's House calendar. If you already sent the letter, that's okay, but if you haven't, don't bother. Now, let me continue. Wareham, the House ordered to the third reading, the bill is H4390, designating certain tax...
Would you restate that?
I'll give you a copy of this, too.
H4390,
H4390, designating certain tax revenue in the town of Wareham. So this means it's going to the committee on the bills in the third reading before it will go over to the Senate side. We will again send a support letter. If you can as well, I'm sure this will be helpful.
Okay.
Sometimes the bills get hung up in the third reading, so it may not be as quick a process as it was coming out of steering. And we're basically going to get this over to the Vice Chair, James O'Day, House Committee on Bills in the third reading. So we'll have to change the letter that I put together and just change who it's going to, and then we can resend it out.
Okay, would you read the letter into the record, please?
This was originally going to the Steering Policy and Scheduling Committee, Representative Louis Kafka, Chairman of the Committee on Steering Policy and Scheduling. Dear Representative Kafka, we, the Board of Selectmen, ask for your support in moving our optional meals tax bill forward as quickly as possible through your committee. The warrant article was passed at our fall 2011 town meeting, October. We understand the bill was filed, but it turns out it had not. Working out with our representative, Susan Williams-Gifford, and her office, the bill got back on track. Our Wareham residents are quite concerned why such a delay. We appreciate your help in this matter. Then I went on to explain the basis of the bill itself. The bill earmarks the optional portion of the meals tax to capital expenditures. When town meeting first passed the optional tax, no provision was made to earmark the new revenue, which was the intent of town meeting. The fall 2011 town meeting resolved the issue by passing of the special act earmarking this new revenue for capital items. This passage will resolve any issues as regards our 2013 budget and appropriations. Thank you very much, and that will be signed by each member of the board. So basically all we have to do is take the header and the dear representative, just change the names and go ahead and send it. Yes, I do. If you'd like, I'll give you the actual... It's right here. It's going to be Vice Chair. She doesn't give me a representative. Just it goes to Vice Chair James O'Day. It's all there.
Mr. Chair. Through you, Alan, where was the breakdown for the bill to be filed? Because I see that you wrote, we understood the bill was filed, but it turns out it had not.
It had never been filed.
By whom?
It had never been filed. The bill went to...
I can't hear you.
Sorry. The bill went to the House and Senate. The normal procedure is for the Senate side to process the bill first on home petition rules. The bill had never been filed on the Senate side.
Okay.
We have a motion from the board to send a letter of support as amended. Shirley will update the heading.
So moved.
Who's it going to?
Vice Chair.
I just put it.
Okay. Second. Go ahead.
Motion made by Mr. Titlebaum, seconded by Mrs. Beckley. Anything with a question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0.
Item E, vote on sewer commissioner's article.
Right. As you all recall, we did the same with this. This has to be resubmitted to town meeting, and that's why we're holding the closing of the warrant so that we can get a vote of the board. It was recommended by town council that we get a vote of the board on the article before we close the warrant.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. Is this identical to the article that was passed and that ended up dying? Is this identical?
to
No.
Mr.
So this is not
Slavin and
identical
Bowen
to what
answer
had
the question?
passed.
No, the only thing we did here was we basically listed out to make sure we complied with all the issues that might come up as far as taking away the sewer commissioners from the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen have certain rights that are in the charter, and the sewer commissioners, as a new group, would have certain rights, but not all. So the sewer superintendent, the duties were specified exactly to clean it up, that's all.
I'm unwilling to I'm unwilling to vote on this without seeing what has actually been changed, because it is complying with the wishes of town meeting to have the identical article that passed. If this article, this would be an amended article.
Yes, and it would go before town meeting to vote again.
Yeah, no.
The old bill is gone.
Actually, to clarify, I think it would actually be a brand-new article, because the old article is dead, so...
Right, but what I'm saying is if we're complying with the wishes of town meeting because they passed the article, they passed an article. This is an amended article, so it would have been helpful to me to see the old article and it to be highlighted what was changed. And I would like to know who changed the language.
Mr. Bowen?
Because the original article came from the capital planning, not capital planning, it came from the Charter Review Committee. So who made the changes in this article?
Mr. Chairman, I drafted several versions of this article. As I looked at the article that had been before town meeting in the past, it occurred to me that the role of the sewer superintendent had not been specified, and it seemed that the intent of the original article was to, in essence, replicate the relationship that the Board of Selectmen has with the town administrator and replicate that relationship between the Board of Sewer Commissioners and the sewer superintendent. And so what I did was, in the draft that you have in front of you, and the other draft was the exact language of what had been voted before, was to specify what that relationship between the sewer commissioners and the sewer superintendent was going to be. And if I just may borrow this draft. If you took Section 1 and looked at Section 3-7A, that is substantially the same. 3-7B is substantially the same. In fact, when you run down through 3-7D, it's substantially the same. The principal area of change is in 3-7E, where you see the subsection small I through small, well, I shouldn't say xi, I should say small Roman numerals 1 through small Roman numerals 11, which are a specification of the powers and duties of the sewer superintendent. Those are patterned after the responsibilities that are laid out in the charter for the town administrator. So the thought behind it was that because you're setting up this separate board with its separate administrator, that for the sewer superintendent to be able to administer the department, that the powers would be akin to those enjoyed by the town administrator. Now, the question of whether this is what you want to do is a policy question. And the question of whether you want it specified in that fashion is a policy question for the board to decide. But to fully flesh out what had gone before, it seemed like it ought to be specified. Whether you think it's a good idea or not, that's a policy decision.
Mr.
I've got some concerns about this, because I think that having this change that went before town meeting, it was passed, came from the Charter Review Committee. This nearly looks like it's an entirely separate district. I have concerns with that. when I did see this article in my packet, I was a little stunned to see how different it was. Unfortunately, I didn't have time, once I recognized that there were several pages that were in addition to this article, to try to find the old one that had passed, because it's certainly not in the charter currently, since it had died in legislation. So I'm reluctant to sign this, frankly, and I understand, Counselor, the reason why you did it, but I would have preferred to have the explanation well in advance of the expectation that I would vote in favor of this. That's all.
So, a no vote would mean
No article.
I would pull it off the table and bring it back up in April. Is that correct? Is that what we're saying?
Yep.
Or can this be included in the warrant and then adjusted to try to get it done in the fall? Mr. Bowen. I'm sorry. Mr. Bowen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, the question of what any member on the board wants to do with this, or the board as a whole, I mean, that's for you guys to decide. That's not my place.
That wasn't my question.
I
My
understand.
question is,
I understand
if
what
the
your question-
board was to vote to include this warrant in the fall, because we're getting ready to close the warrant, either we're going to include this now or it's coming up in April. Either way.
Well,
if we include it, how does it? You know, I know there are amendments you can do and things like that. Can we include it and then revise it in time or during town meeting? That's the question.
Yeah, I understand the question, and to continue my answer,
I'm sorry.
you know, it's up to you what you want this to look like, and there are a variety of ways that you can decide what you want this to look like. Now, if you don't put it on the warrant, then it's going to look like nothing.
Got that part.
Simple, okay, that's the easy part. So if you do put it on the warrant in this fashion, and you decide between now and October 22nd or whenever the magic ball brings this forward, you can bring forward a motion. This thing is written so broadly, expansively, that you could bring back a motion that trimmed this back to the word of what was voted at town meeting the last time around. So, you know, don't get the idea that this was written up with an idea to put a handcuff on anybody. You can amend this down, right down to the letter to what was done before. You can't do that if it's not on the warrant, but like I say, these are policy decisions for you to make.
Well, let me ask you this then. What if, I mean, seems like a no-brainer to me, the board takes a vote tonight to include the original article word for word in the town meeting. This piece of paper is just, it doesn't really matter what's on that piece of paper. The issue is, are we going to allow the article back on the fall town meeting? And you can make a motion that says, the Board of Selectmen vote to include the original article, word for word, that was passed on town meeting floor. Pretty simple.
When was
Well-
that? Was that October of 2000?
October
2010? Oh, 11. I thought it was 10.
And then amend it that way.
So-
Either way,
2010.
we have a choice. It's either we're going to try to get something done in the fall or we're not.
What article number was this, Attorney Bowen? Or Derek, did you know?
Don't know.
Because it says article and line.
I don't have
This
my
is-
2010 book with me.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, no, it doesn't have to be. Yeah,
this
I
is
don't
a-
know what the original article was, but we can certainly just, I don't know what number it is, but I'm asking what article this is for the warrant, for the current warrant.
Article
It's not.
28.
28.
If it was in the current warrant,
Oh.
If it was in the current
what
warrant.
number would it be?
Article 28.
Article 28 is how you have it listed in this current warrant that's upcoming.
Correct. Is the number.
So I would make a motion that Article 28 will read as the original article that passed in the town meeting of October 2010.
And get it on the warrant.
I'll second for
Mr. Titlebaum?
discussion.
Oh, let's give me a second for discussion. You did?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I would ask council, if after further review and the town meeting body would like to adopt the draft that
Then
you've
they amend
provided
it.
tonight, can they so move to get into this level of detail without running afoul of the notion that the changes are so substantial that they weren't properly noticed?
Can't do it.
And that's my concern if we go ahead and vote on the old article that doesn't specify what the job is, what the responsibilities are, because frankly, that's all this boilerplate does. There's nothing in here, there's exceptional language, it sets forth the duties and responsibilities of the sewer superintendent. And I would much rather have that specified and done correctly from the get-go. This is better language, and I frankly would prefer to have this be what we consider a town meeting, and that we do it in the fall to comply with the will of the voters.
For discussion, the original bill, when it finally started to move off Heather's desk and went to the House clerk or the Senate clerk who made the final decision, we had to change some of the language anyways, as Rich remembers, because there were some issues with the original bill. This here corrected most of those changes as well. I'm really not going to vote to submit the original one because I think we'll run into some language issues and more delays. I'd be much rather happy to print what we have here, vote for that, and then go ahead and if town meeting wants to pull out the piece, it's the same bill except for the last section on the superintendent. What's in there that's a little change is things that we had to correct already, that were already done. That was required by the AG or by the Senate. I don't see any problem with what we have here. If people don't like the additional description of the superintendent, they can remove it. They certainly can't go back and put it in after the fact. I know the moderator will not allow us to change the scope of the bill in that direction. We can certainly trim it down and make it the way it was before, but we can't trim it up.
Mr. Bowen?
Yeah, I agree. It from a scope point of view, and Madam Moderator is here, and I don't intend to put her on the spot, but from a scope perspective, it's easier to shrink than it is to grow.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Well, like Mrs. Begley has a motion before us, are we voting on that motion and then? That's right, for discussion.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll vote, and that motion was to submit to the warrant the original article word for word, right? So we have a motion made and seconded. All in favor? All opposed? Aye.
No.
1-3-0.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the board approve the article as provided by Town Council in its most recent draft for inclusion on the fall 2012 town meeting warrant.
Motion made by Mr. Titlebaum.
Second.
Second by Mr. Slavin. Question. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Abstain? 3-1-0.
Go back
Where are we
back to
going
A.
now with this agenda, Mr.
Let me
Chair?
just,
back to
let me
A.
just double check to make sure we don't have anything else on here for the warrant.
Nope,
Can we
that was-
close the fall town meeting warrant?
Yes.
Let's go back to that. I just, liquor license,
Yeah,
unfinished business. Is there anything else anybody can think of before we move to close the warrant? Oh.
Mrs. Smith has.
Oh. Now I say Madam Moderator.
Yes.
Okay.
I just have one quick question that popped into my mind a little earlier. We had an article on the barking dog bylaw that required that they come back with a report, and I don't remember seeing anything in the warrant to allow for them to have a report. Can they give a report? There is an article that they have to extend their committee because they aren't finished with their work. Can they give the report within that article and we're okay? I just wanted to ask so that we didn't get into trouble, or does it need to be a separate, stuck with the Westfield article?
Can't you?
Well, Shirley just sent out.
That's the newest one. I think you can do that.
Well, originally we did.
There are two separate articles on there. One is to extend it, and one is to change the appointments.
I see Article 27, extend the dog bylaw study committee.
Right, they're not prepared to come back with any recommendation, and they want to extend their appointments. I would suspect that they could give that report under that article, but I needed to ask that just to be sure, so that we didn't, before you closed the warrant, because that was part of their original charge, was to come back with a report.
Right. And then there's also a one that says repeal of special acts. You know, you're the moderator. We don't have a say whether you're going to allow it or not. So
I just wanted to bring it up to make.
We close it, and
okay.
you control it. So if you allow the report, then it wouldn't be an issue.
Madam Moderator, my original motion that was passed by Springtown meeting, to the amendment, within it carried the requirement that the dog bylaw study committee either produce proposed bylaws or come back with a report, whether it was a report from all the committee, majority or a minority. So I think that the charge is there. The question is, I guess, just a technical one of, do we need to reference it again when we already did it back in the spring?
That's why I asked.
Mr. Bowen.
Mr. Chairman, I would not presume on Madam Moderator's authority, but I know where I'm moderating on the question, I would probably, as part of the discussion of Article 27 to extend the committee, expect to hear a report from the committee as to why they think they should be extended.
Okay.
And at the time, I know we had discussed a couple weeks ago about perhaps having a separate report article, but what happened was that morphed into an article extending the committee.
Okay. Just before you closed it, I just wanted to be absolutely certain.
Well, as my eyeglasses are off here, it says here, for the ongoing purpose of drafting bylaws related to barking and dangerous dogs, and to provide a majority and minority report to said spring. Oh, I see what they're doing. Okay. What they're saying is they want to provide a report in 2013 in the spring. And if they vote no, is someone prepared to give a report now? If town meeting votes no? Right? If they don't extend, they're supposed to have the... Right. So... That's what I was thinking. That sound right? Mr. Bowen? That works? Good. So the board needs to take no action. Mrs. Begley?
So I can make a motion to for the closure of the warrant, correct?
That would be correct.
Okay. I make a motion.
Let me just make sure. Nobody else has anything else about town meeting? Madam
No.
Moderator, since
Not
you're still
until-
here. Mrs. Begley?
No.
Well, it's not yours, but if you know something, you need to tell us right
No,
now before
I'm
she
good.
speaks again.
I'm good. Ready?
Yep, ready.
I make a motion to close the fall town meeting warrant for the town of Wareham that's scheduled for the town meeting October 22nd, 2012, Wareham High School at 7 Viking Drive, Wareham, Mass. At 7 p.m. for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Plymouth County, to either of the constables of the town of Wareham. Greetings in the name of Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You are hereby directed to notify and warn the legal voters of the town qualified to vote in town affairs to meet in the high school auditorium, 7 Viking Drive, Wareham, Mass. On Monday, October 22nd, 2012, to act on the following articles. You are hereby directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof on or before September 14th, 2012, in at least one public place in each precinct within the town, and by publishing a copy of the warrant by September 20th, 2012. Hereof fail not, and make sure due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of said meeting. Given under our hands this 13th day of September in the year 2012, Wareham Board of Selectmen. Stephen M. Holmes, Chairman, Kara A. Winslow, Clerk, Ellen M. Begley, Alan H. Slavin, and Peter W. Teitelbaum.
Motion made by Mrs. Begley.
Second.
Second by Mr. Teitelbaum. Anything else on the question? Last chance. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained?
We're good.
400.
Signed,
Thank-
sealed, and delivered.
And I think I
Goodness.
got everything.
Next, G. Skip over.
G, Mr. Chair, approval of liquor,
Right. The
approval of liquor license regulations.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, we are approaching 10 o'clock. We're going to need an extension if we want to finish up.
Oh, it's still 5
I'll make a motion that we go beyond the hour of 10 to finish the agenda.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Question. All in favor?
Aye.
400. The question tonight is, we've all had these regulations for months. We reviewed them again. Everybody's to review. We had a couple of questions about 5 weeks ago. And I need to know if there are any other questions, any other suggestions for revision, because the point of tonight is to give these back to the author, Mr. Bowen, for a final review so that we can vote on them next week.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bowen.
Thank you, sir. Listening to the Stonebridge issue earlier and listening to, Selectman Begley's solution to the individual's problems, I realized that there was something that should be added back into these regulations which is not present. So if I could respectfully ask you all to turn over to page 6 on section 1.04 subsection A, I propose an addition after the first sentence. The first sentence reads, "The hours of operation shall be restricted to those set by the licensing authority and stated on the face of the license." This is what I'm suggesting that you add in view of the discussion earlier. Notwithstanding the foregoing, a Section 12 licensee, those are pouring licenses, not package stores, a Section 12 licensee may, upon prior telephonic notification to the Wareham Police Department recorded line, close up to 3 hours earlier than the hour of closing posted on the license. And I'll just reread that again quickly. Notwithstanding the foregoing, a Section 12 licensee may, upon prior telephonic notification to the Wareham Police Department recorded line, close up to 3 hours earlier than the hour of closing posted on the license. Section 12 licenses are, pouring licenses, basically restaurants. Prior telephonic notification, you don't close first and then beg forgiveness afterwards. The reason for doing it on the recorded telephone line is that we have proof. And the number 3 was just trying to, I admit this is policy making, so forgive me. I was just trying to account for the fact that we're in a seasonal community, and in the dead of winter, it's not always going to make sense staying open till, X o'clock, whatever X o'clock is identified on the license. So that was my suggestion. There it is.
Comments? Hey, just, I think I follow where you go in there. Telephonic recorded line. That satisfies the police. Currently, the licensing authority gets a notification. Right? Now, if somebody doesn't have a computer in their establishment, then they can't send an email.
Does our office staff have, they have messages on their lines?
But no, what I'm saying, you're saying call the office and leave a message?
Call the office and leave a message if it's after hours, and then they're calling the
wouldn't know
police
about it. You
department and
wouldn't
they're
know it was
notifying
happening
them.
until the next day.
Well, yeah, but say it's inclement weather, or they have an emergency at home, or they
Right.
just simply, it's the dead of winter and no one's come out.
Mr. Chairman, I think that would suffice. Let's face it, we're not going to be there at 11 o'clock necessarily checking our town email to see what's going on with the liquor stores.
Right, so a phone call to either Janet or Shirley, someone in the office, would that suffice?
Or is
Mr. Bowen?
the police sufficient? Well, it's up to us.
No,
It's
I'm
our
saying the
policy.
police and the town administrator's office.
Yeah.
Or the selectman's office.
That makes sense. More language.
Both the police and the
Selectman's
selectman's
office.
office.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
And how did that exactly solve our problem earlier? I'm still not getting that part. I'm
when
missing something here.
Justin was concerned about having to note how he would notify us, or he thought he had to have everything spelled out on his permit to close early. Like he said, oh, he'd love to close early because he's got a baby. And I said, then just call the police department and say you're calling.
I see.
I
what you're
have no
saying.
customers. I'm closing early.
Wait, tonight for some reason I'm missing
Sure,
some of
sure.
these. I'm missing some of these switches.
But it also helps the businesses. There's some businesses that close no matter what their license says, and they don't notify anyone. Then there's others that are hanging on by the skin of their teeth, and they're trying to stay open till 11 o'clock with one person in their establishment. So it's fair for everyone, I think.
Okay. Other items on the proposed regulations. Mr. Titlebaum?
I have nothing else. I think that's takes care of the concern I expressed the last time.
So when we get the revised,
Mrs. Begley?
we'll get a final copy and we'll vote then.
Yeah,
Is that
we're going to
correct?
have Rich
Okay.
go through them one more time, and then shoot them out to us, and then, Alan, did you have anything on the
Liquor.
liquor? And then following that approval, we're going to be setting up the workshop with all the forest owners, et cetera.
Right.
Probably, I'm thinking after Columbus Day, once everybody settles down, and people go away, the owners will be able to spend more time with us.
Okay.
And we should be right on track to get all this complete before Columbus Day.
We hold a hearing on this.
Sorry?
We hold a hearing on this as well.
Well, it's a Board of Selectmen policy. We don't hold policy. We don't hold hearings on Board of Selectmen policies. Do you disagree with that?
Mr. Chairman, it's one of those nights I'm going to disagree with you. The
Get out.
You'll get your chance.
Now, this is the Board of Selectmen
No,
policy.
no, I understand it's a Board of Selectmen policy. My advice is that you hold a hearing, because hold a hearing, notify all the license holders.
Right.
You want to do that for several reasons. Number one, if you hold the hearing, notify all the license holders, in effect your policy becomes like a set of conditions on everybody's license. And because you notified them all, they can't later say, hey, I didn't know about this. So I would send a notice out to each and every one of them with a copy of the draft policy. I would hold the hearing, invite their comments. If they've got some great comments and you want to revise it further, you can revise it further and then vote it.
Yeah.
If you want to vote it then, after everybody's here, you vote it. And then once they've all had notice and you vote it, they're all on the hook.
May I add to that, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
I'm wondering if,
actually
and
a-
I
that's
think that's a
actually a
great
good
idea.
idea. I didn't
It's a
think
great
of it.
idea, but our primary, we make the policy, but for particularly this, for pouring licenses, the enforcing agency is the police department. So do we have their input on this as well?
I have sent a copy I sent a copy of the, Chief Stanley asked for it. I sent him a copy. He sent me a ton of stuff this afternoon, so I don't know. If I haven't got it, I will get it and get it over to Mr. Bowen. But the chief did ask to review it.
And, Mr. Chairman, I'm being a thorn in your side tonight, but some time ago, I did give a copy of these to Chief Stanley, and he reviewed them, informed me that he was very pleased with them and was looking forward to being able to go forward.
If I don't have something this afternoon from him, I'll send him a note tonight and say, look, here's your last chance. How's that? Because I sent them to him about 2 weeks ago. Okay? Anything else? Yes.
Just one quick question. 106H. I'm not sure it exists anymore. Years ago, having experience in the liquor industry, we used to have a lot of the stores would have what we call a silent partner. Is there any need for a reference to that? This is, H is restricting how they pledge the license itself and stock. And especially when they have multiple stores as well, there's a lot of, what happens in the real world is not what happens by rules.
With your permission, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
This is one of these ones where, if you wanted to delete it from the policy, you could, because this is essentially a recitation of the requirements of Chapter 138, Section 23, which state that before someone pledges any stock in their company, they have to get your approval. Now, the reason for it, which Selectman Slavin alluded to, is to prevent undisclosed beneficial owners. When Prohibition was repealed and the Chapter 138 was written, they were trying to keep out a certain type of person from the business. I can tell you from family history that didn't happen in every case, but they have to do this anyway, and it does come up every once in a while, especially when you've got a big operation where they're borrowing money to get the thing off the ground.
Good? Anything else? Thank you very much for your indulgence, and it'll be great to get that piece done. Mrs. Begley?
I'm not sure where you're going now.
Oh.
Do you want to go to any other item F, item H? Would you like?
Yeah, we can go to item H first, I guess, comes into.
Okay, old unfinished business.
I'll explain that in just a second.
Go for it.
Okay. One of the items under old and unfinished business, and you see it's apparent tonight, and that's great. I'm very happy about it. But if you spend a few minutes going through the calendar, the agendas calendar, one of the issues with it is I have to put in, it shows in 10-minute increments. I have to actually put 7:21 to 7:22. Yeah. And so that's how you get that nice flow. Unfortunately, things like F, any other town business, not blah, 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 that should be at the bottom. So I have to change that recurring stuff. But I can tell you that to update you on the calendar, at this point, I'm still not totally happy with the appearance, but it's working. All agenda items are being requested via email. I take those emails. I forward them to Janet, Shirley, with a response, appropriate response to whoever's requesting. If somebody is looking to get something on our agenda, plug it into a date when there are available openings, send the person back a note and say, look, you need to provide a packet of information to the office at least a week prior. If it's not in the office on the week prior, guess what? I'm moving it to another date, because we're not going to have people just throwing stuff on the agenda. One other comment is you're going to start to see, there's already a few on there, is TMA before an item, town meeting articles. So I've already started plugging in all the articles. We've sent emails to those folks saying that, you're requested to come to the Board of Selectmen. It all kind of gets done at the same time, which is, we got a couple of kinks we're still working on the system. But so if you've had any issues seeing this stuff, I need to know. Other than that, I think it's going to become a nice feature. The one thing that we're working on now is if you actually go into a date on the right-hand side, it shows you my task, right?
Yep.
And we're working on a way to be, remember, we're not working with Outlook here. We're working with Town of Wareham software. And so what we're trying to do is, without printing off a day, just go to that day. You can see everything that's coming up all the way through. And then you might even be able to just cut and paste that little piece out and print it, right? Print it if you'd like. So I think that, I think it's coming along. We got caught up a little bit tonight. I appreciate your indulgence. We still got, the articles to go. We got probably another 15 promised things. that I got to get on the agendas, and I'm working on that every day now to get those things updated and get them moving along as quickly as possible. So that's the update on the calendar. If you have any comments, negative, positive is always good. And if you have any suggestions, open to it. You don't have to speak if you don't want.
Looks good to me.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
I have
Anything
a couple
else?
of things under this particular item.
Yep.
Well, first of all, the burning question that everybody's asking, so I either bring it up under H or I bring it up under F. When are we going to make an appointment or vote on an appointment for the town administrator after the interviews last night? When will that happen?
I can't give you a definite answer. What I can give you for an answer is we're going to try the same approach we tried for the interviews. And that is send out a list of dates when 5 people are available. We have to have all 5 of us here.
Yes, we do, but it doesn't have to be on a Tuesday night.
And that's what we did with the other one. I sent out Mondays, I sent out Wednesdays, I sent out Thursdays.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
But I think that time is of the essence, and as it is, because of some delay, only because circumstances, I'm not placing blame, but we had 4 applicants that, were finalists, and we ended up with 3. So my concern is that any candidate that people may feel is appropriate for this position may not be available.
Well, I'm going to send
So-
out the email, and then just like we did for the other one, I have to have 5 people say yes.
Okay.
And we have a date with 5 people. That's the date. I'm hoping to get it done my goal is to have it done in the next week or so.
Okay. Now, under old business, I had spoken to Mr. Foster, and then I asked Mr. Sullivan, and Mr. Sullivan told me that he is kind of not getting a response. But I had been asking, and I would ask council that I believe that this body is the only body that can declare surplus for anything of value in this town, for its removal, sale, distribution, whatever that may be. And I asked for a list of surplus from the school department for the last 3 years, and we're getting nowhere. So I appealed to this board to kind of help me out with this.
When you say list of surplus,
Yes, only because I was told that, well, first of all, there was a directive from, I don't know if it's national or state, but we can no longer serve our kids junk food. So the friolators had to go, and they were sold at an extremely, extremely low price to someone in this town. And I'd like to know why
Who
that happened
declared-
when they're
do we know
it's
who
valuable
declared them
equipment.
surplus, Mrs. Bagley?
That's what I'm asking. It wasn't this board. I didn't.
Well, I'm not looking at you to put you on the spot. I don't expect you to answer.
Right, so that was what even brought the whole thing to my attention.
Okay.
So that's why I went through the 2 town administrators, so I'm appealing to this board to make that request of the school department.
Well, I think we can ask the town administrator to do that.
Absolutely.
Mr.
But
Sullivan,
with
got it?
I have it, and I did
Thank you.
receive a response from Dr. Rabinovich.
Oh,
that
you
we
already
should-
sent it?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, you are
you-
quick.
Oh, no, he hadn't received a response when I spoke to you yesterday,
Okay.
right?
Oh, I had not received it. No, yesterday I did receive one
Okay.
today. It wasn't available for today, but they are working on it, and I will, as soon as I have that report, I'll forward it to the board.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And I had a question, again, old business. I'm sorry,
Not to have a discussion?
not
but
to have a discussion.
I think the second half of the question, it goes to the charter. And who's responsible for declaring surplus?
Board of Selectmen.
I don't believe that that's given out to departments within the town. I believe it's.
What do you mean?
In other words, if I'm in the sewer plant and I have a desk that's surplus, Mr. Campina has to come before the Board of Selectmen.
That's exactly correct.
Or if you're in the library and there's books that are going to be thrown out, they have to come before the Board of
That's correct, and it's
I
not,
don't believe that the department head can do that.
it's not happening.
So
Chairman?
we just want to clarify it.
Right.
To make sure it's done right. That's all we're.
Right,
trying to-
exactly.
The town bylaws, Division 1, Article 6, Section 2, says, any board or officer in charge of a department of the town may, with the prior approval of the selectmen in writing, sell or otherwise dispose of personal property within the control of the department which has become obsolete or is not required for further use by such department. The property of a value of $500 or more shall be sold, traded in, or otherwise disposed of on the basis of competitive bids. A list of all bids shall be published in the next annual town report.
There you go.
So there you are.
So we have to declare it surplus before they can sell it.
Right, because
All right. So we'll ask Mr. Sullivan to do that without discussion.
But that would be true. I would hope that and I know that Mr. Sullivan will probably do this, but I hope that a memo goes out to all the department heads. Should they have, as you said, Mr. Chair, using it as an example, a desk that they think, oh, you know, we don't need this anymore and it's just taking up space. But I don't know, is there a certain value? Was that in there?
500.
Yeah, I don't think we have too
Okay.
many $500 desks. I hope we don't.
Next.
Okay, my next thing was, this was just an FYI. I recall when we appointed Mr. Sullivan as interim town administrator that you had mentioned, Mr. Chair, that there was no mechanism to appoint him as acting. Is that correct?
That's what I believe I heard
Yep,
from
that's what you
council.
said. So in the
Yeah, that's
charter,
what I said.
yeah, but in the charter, section 4-3, acting town administrator, section B. Vacancy, when the office of the town administrator is vacant as a result of death, resignation, or otherwise, or during the time a town administrator is under suspension or provided in section 4-4, the Board of Selectmen shall appoint a qualified town administrative officer or employee to serve as acting town administrator until the vacancy is filled or the suspension has been terminated.
Town council? Since you're the one who gave me the answer.
If you want to hand it down to me, I'll be happy to take a look at it.
Sure. It's falling apart. Be gentle.
That's okay, I'm following. Which section were you?
4. I think it was 4. Should be at the bottom of the
All right.
page.
While you're doing that, is there anything
Is
else?
it like page 19? Okay, yes. I'm sorry, we haven't met. I just had I had a request, and this is certainly not meant with malice. However, any documents that the chair of the Board of Selectmen signs is on behalf of this board, and I just would respectfully request that I see those documents before Mr. Chair signs them.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Surplus I did. And this is, I'll say for Derek under his liaison, under his report. I wanted to know who is in charge of the intern program in Town Hall that's happening with committees within departments.
I believe it would fall under the town administrator's office.
Mm-hmm. So who's obtaining them, who's supervising them, who do they report to?
Right now, they'd report to whatever department heads they're working with, as well as whatever part of the school they have. At some point for the school, they'll have to write reports and such, check in with whoever their departmental liaison, I guess.
But
would be
how do you
from the-
get them? Do you contact the schools?
Currently, Selectman Slavin has been helping out in that manner.
My question is this. I understand that Alan did this prior to being an elected official, but I do see this as being day-to-day, and this board did not vote for that to happen, and I guess I'm concerned about it, only because it is day-to-day with...
Is it?
That's my personal opinion. I'm
Well,
entitled to it, Mr. Chair.
If we're going to make a policy decision, then that needs to be on the agenda.
Then we'll have that, I'll request for that to be on the agenda, whoever directs interns. And I had an irate citizen approach me last night after the meeting, and it had nothing to do with the interviews. They were irate because they said, and I'm hoping that they misunderstood, that there was a directive from the Board of Selectmen for inspectional services not to honor previous permits.
Say what?
That's what I was told.
Say this again.
Okay.
I think I heard the same thing.
Disgruntled citizen.
I think I heard the same thing this morning.
The disgruntled citizen told me that there was a directive in inspectional services from the Board of Selectmen not to honor previous permits.
I heard that same thing this morning.
But, you know, I like to address things out in the open right away. So I would just like to respectfully ask Mr. Sullivan to look into this for us, because I can't, this board
Well, now
never
that
voted
person
on
knows I
anything
didn't
like
call
that.
him this afternoon.
But this board never voted on any of that.
Correct.
And continuing under old business, I was wondering, and this was, again, this is, I questioned it, I have people asking me, the legality of the Council on Aging Committee being the Council on, acting as the Council on Aging Director. And does it need to be approved by, or has it been approved by, could have been, by the Massachusetts Board of Elderly Affairs?
Council on Aging Board.
Director. The Council on Aging Committee.
Right.
Are they being, because Mr. Sullivan had referred to the Council on Aging Chair as the Council on Aging Director to me, that he was meeting with her. So I'm just wondering what's going on with that we don't have a Council on Aging Director.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I would say I probably spoke incorrectly. We don't have a Council on Aging Director.
So who currently is overseeing the Council on Aging Department?
It would be administration
Mhm.
through the workers at the Council on Aging.
Okay.
But that they are not acting in that capacity. And if I said that, I greatly apologize.
Okay.
Because
I
that
just,
is not true.
Okay, I wondered about that, and thank you very much, Mr. Sullivan. And that brings me to, there was a meeting today with you, Mr. Chair, the Chair of Council on Aging, Mr. Sullivan, and Gatra.
Yeah.
Are you going to report to the board about that anytime soon?
I don't have anything to report. I was invited.
I can't hear you.
I don't have anything to report. I was
Mhm.
invited by Mr. Sullivan to attend a meeting as a liaison of the Council on Aging. I have no opinion. I have no idea what led up to the meeting.
All right.
What do you want me to report?
No, I'll ask him during his report. And I think that's it for now. Thanks.
Next.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to follow up on Ms. Begley's comment. Mrs. Begley is absolutely correct in her reading of Section 4-3. The only flourish that I would add to it, though, is that there are two types of acting town administrators. One, the first kind under 4-3A, is the temporary absence town administrator, which I think customarily has been referred to as an acting town administrator. And then under 4-3B, there is the type of acting town administrator who holds the office by virtue of vacancy as a result of death, resignation, or otherwise. And I think by custom that's been known as an interim town administrator. No, you're absolutely right. The word's not there. The custom, though, to distinguish between the two types, I think, has been to call one acting and the other interim. But the statute does talk about a temporary absence town administrator and a vacancy town administrator. No, it's... Yeah, it's...
If
So
B
the point
said,
is-
but if B said interim, I would feel better about it. I'm just saying, because I wanted to correct that a mechanism for an acting by the Board of Selectmen did not exist, and it does by charter. If B said interim, because I don't know what the distinction is, I truly don't, because I was told one thing by one person and another thing by another person, so I don't.
Following his.
Right, I understand.
His answer. His time.
And I'm just following the charter.
And I would just say that I think calling it acting or interim within the context of the manner in which Mr. Sullivan was appointed is a distinction without a difference. The Board of Selectmen made the appointment. I think it's very clear that it was under 4-3B. So I don't see a legal problem with it.
Next. Oh, yeah. Back here, Bill. Anything else?
Next up.
So I don't know if that was old unfinished business or any other town business not reasonably anticipated. I just wanted to bring up one other thing, and I know you people are tired of me, but I would ask this board to, and given the pawn shop issues and the fact that we have 5 licenses for secondhand and metals, there has been some issue that there have been some people, business people here and citizens that say that not all of those businesses in town that may be doing those kinds of transactions are necessarily are necessarily licensed. And I would just like to be sure, is there a way, Mr. Bowen, that we can, it would probably be a bylaw change, I'm not sure, but define what those businesses are on a more specific way. For example, we have a couple of jewelry stores here that do buy gold and they buy silver. So the argument could be made that they should be fitting under this license criteria. So, this is something that we would have to do in April, certainly.
With your permission, Mr. Chairman, yes, you absolutely could elaborate on these things by bylaw. Under Chapter 140, it's in the, it's Section 55, there's a statute called junk dealers. Now, it's also in Section 54. Typically one doesn't think of jewelry stores or antique stores as junk dealers, but in point of fact, that's the license they need to have. And so I think the distinction would be, it's not whether the business is buying used goods and then reselling them, because a person who buys used goods and resells is a junk dealer and is supposed to have a license under Chapter 140, Section 54. So the fact that they're doing that does not make them a pawnbroker. What makes them a pawnbroker under Chapter 140, Section 70 is that they are taking used goods, lending money at a percentage, and then after a period of time, if the debt is not repaid, then they're allowed to resell it. So I think the big difference is it's the lending of the money part. So a jeweler who's buying used gold is not a pawnbroker if the jeweler is paying for it. What would turn that jeweler into a pawnbroker would be if they were lending money on it.
So do we have, I was looking at the bylaws today, and the regulation is separate. It's Division 2, Article 3, Regulation of Pawnbroking Activities. So that's what we're saying is licensed, correct?
I'm sorry, I was not anticipating this question, so
That's
I've not
okay,
reviewed
because
it
this,
in advance.
we didn't act on this, so I'm
Right.
kind of giving you a heads up on this.
Yeah.
Because under Section 1 for Division 2, Article 2, for junk, old metal, secondhand dealers, shops, et cetera, that says the selectmen may license not more than 5 suitable persons to be dealers in and keepers of shops, principally for the purchase, sale, or barter of junk, old metal, secondhand articles in the town. Is that intended to encompass the pawn shops?
I'd want to think about
Exactly.
that.
Those are my
a little bit more.
questions. I'm not asking.
But what I will say is that, to me, that sounds like you're limiting the number of Chapter 140, Section 54 junk dealer licenses in town to 5.
Well, why don't we do this? It's not here, so if you would put your questions together, send them to Mr. Bowen.
Thank you.
And then let him do the research and give you an answer. Next.
Okay, the next item on, I was waiting for my colleagues. Town Administrator's Report.
Mr. Sullivan?
Thank you very much. The first item that we have under A is meeting with the Department of Revenue. And on Monday, August 13th, our Department of Revenue field representative, Jared Curtis, came down to conduct a field visit, which included training. He brought with him Bill Meehan, who's from the debt section, Tom Guilfoyle, who's a supervisor, and they brought one of their interns down, Ryan Horn, as well. The topics that we had discussed were emergency spending, such as hurricanes, also end-of-year appropriation transfers, the balance sheet discussion. We spoke about the tax rate, the enterprise fund, cash reconciliation, and gave them an overview of our FY13 budget, and generally spoke with them about some of the policies and procedures that Wareham had put in place. At this meeting was, you could call it our financial team, treasurer, collector, assessor, our accountant, and assistant accountant. And this was one of the more important meetings because it was trying to establish with the DOR what we're doing and learning from some of our past mistakes as well. I don't know if anybody has any questions on that.
Mr. Slavin?
I attended the meeting and just to observe and get a feel for what was going on. The letter which originally went out about a year or so ago that we got what was called a form letter was never really a form letter to the town. It was a very precise letter saying you need to get certain things done or else. It wasn't a form letter.
I think I remember that.
That was a question that went back and forth. The meeting was very specific as far as the gentleman went in a very nice way because they were cooperative. They weren't there to kill us. They said you need to get basically everything in place for November 1st. I know that we might get a little leverage, but I'm not sure if we have any capital left to get any leverage at all. My concern at this time, and it's my concern, is that with a new town accountant with a long learning curve for municipal accounting versus normal accounting, which there is a major difference, we are having I think we're going to have a problem making the November 1st date without having to call DOR and ask for extensions, which could affect our free cash, etc. I would like the board to consider through the town administrator, if he concurs within a certain, I'd say within a month at the most, if even that, if we need some additional help to get this done, because we don't have Powers and Sullivan. Originally was not scheduled to come in until I think the end of November, Derek?
Correct. We had thought that were scheduled for September, but in fact they weren't and won't be in until November.
Which could create a problem. I believe they're going to come in the last week of September now to try and help a little bit, but I have real issues that if we don't make the November 1st date, it's going to really jeopardize a lot of things. So I just want to make the board aware that I think this is an issue. In addition to that, under the charter and the bylaws, the Board of Selectmen have a right to ask on a quarterly or monthly basis for financial statements showing revenue, expenses, projections versus the budget and appropriations for the year. I would ask this board to make a motion to request from the town administrator 3 weeks after the close of each month that type of statement so we have an idea where we are financially. We do have a fiduciary responsibility to the town. We are supposed to provide guidance. We are supposed to sit there and see what's happening financially, and if there is problems, this is not interfering the day-to-day. It's our responsibility to take action if we think the direction is going the wrong way to provide that guidance. Doesn't tell them how to do it, but just provide the guidance of what we need to have done and let the town administrator handle it. But I would definitely request that we need to have financial statements. Thank you.
I have a motion made.
Second.
Second. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? 400. And Mr. Sullivan, when you're working on that report, I've also spoken to Mr. Kudish in preparation of getting a presentation. So maybe we just tie all that together and do it in one night. Could have the third week, 3 weeks after the month closes. Let me know what those are. We'll try to keep it consistent, and we could have Mr. Campina come in on the same night and do it all at once.
Sounds like a
have
plan.
a little finance night, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and keep it consistent.
Mr. Chairman, while we're on this topic, I'd just like to follow up a little bit with Mr. Sullivan on the challenges the new accountant is facing, and see if Mr. Sullivan wants to ask us to sort of ratify the suggestion for help, or, and again, this is, contingent, of course, we can't force help upon somebody who may not want it, but I'm hoping that the help will be wanted. But I guess what I'm asking is, do you want a motion from us and approval to go ahead and obtain that kind of help to the extent that you can?
That's a day-to-day request.
That's right.
That's the town administrator's business. If he has an issue, he can come to the board. The board will hold him responsible. But we can't make a motion. We can make a recommendation to him as a board, but we can't make a motion to tell him to go hire somebody or do this and do that. It's day-to-day.
Right, well, fair enough. Then should we...
I mean, he's sitting right there.
Yeah.
Just ask him.
I mean, would
Yeah,
you
I would-
accept that recommendation?
I would actually accept that recommendation. I think it's a smart move, especially when we're getting into the tax rate setting season. We've come up with kind of a couple little plans of some people that may be in the area that have retired that know municipal finance well, and bringing them in. The overall idea is to bring somebody in that knows it, that can work with our town accountant, but also at the same time not expend a lot of money out of that.
The bottom line is, it's a day-to-day function. You do what you need to do to get it done. The Board of Selectmen can't recommend you bring somebody in, or we don't know how much money you have to pay them. We don't.
Yep.
I mean, it's a day-to-day function. If you got a problem, let us know. But other than that, administratively, that's your business. We set policy. We don't run departments. That's my opinion. Yes.
Mr. Chair, I have a question on item B of Mr. Sullivan's report. Do we have to vote to ratify, or if there's no action, unless we want to? It just so can we just kind of move on from that item, because unless any member of this board feels strongly to not ratify it.
Now, when I read that, and I've read that a gazillion times, I've seen some of these before on here, and the way I read it, the Board of Selectmen only needs to ratify those folks that are part of the appointing authority.
Right.
You don't, in other words,
Every
if
employee-
this was Mr. Gifford, the board needs to ratify. It's a department head because
Directors,
it's being appointed
correct.
by Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan shouldn't be hiring laborers or custodial positions. That should be done by, well, it's day-to-day, but that should be done by Mr. Gifford or whoever.
Right.
So my interpretation, we've seen truck drivers on here, and I said, that violates the charter. We're not supposed to be
Right.
ratifying truck drivers.
Right, and
I'm
it-
not diminishing any position. All I'm saying is the charter clearly lays out that we ratify his appointments because he is appointed by us.
Correct. Now, I would like to, in defense of Mr. Sullivan, because I've had phone calls, and I asked him immediately. I saw ads in the newspaper advertising for a substitute library assistant. So people asked me, I went to Mr. Sullivan. So I said, where's the money coming from for substitute library assistants? And it is fully funded by grants. Fully funded. Correct, Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, even the posting of it, which was a good thing.
There you go.
So, save
He
some
said
money
he
there.
even said, okay, you're going to have to pay for the posting too. So for those that are wondering, that we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. This was a grant-funded position.
Are you looking at something different? What are you talking about? This says vote on labor or custodian?
No. It's an advertised position in the paper. This is part of, since it was under his report.
Mr. Sullivan, would you discuss your meeting today in your office? If you think it's appropriate, if you don't, you wait till your own timing. I don't want to.
Realistically, it's I would prefer when I'm more prepared to it. I've had a long day like we all have, and I'm probably going to say something strange, much like calling somebody the wrong position title that I guess I did before. So
Could you add it to your report for next time?
absolutely.
Thank you. Everybody's getting tired, Mr. Chair.
It's day-to-day operations. I was just there as a spectator. I'm the only one who gets questioned why I attend a meeting. I
No,
don't-
you're not.
I don't get that part.
No, you're not. Liaison reports, item 11. Are we finished, Mr. Sullivan?
Oh, before you move on, there's one other thing that came up here. This is kind of important, and I have a
Is
feeling.
it for the Elks?
Yeah, and I have a feeling that somebody's not getting my communications. We have, let me just read this. The Wareham Lodge of Elks is offering the town of Wareham, for the Council on Aging, a used bingo machine. While old, it still works. One of our players asked, and it was approved at the Elks meeting. If the Council on Aging so approves, what we need is a simple statement that you, the selectmen, are willing to accept it. If accepted, the machine has rollers, the lodge has a handicap ramp, that your personnel truck could pick it up and remove it. I got an email somewhere from the Council on Aging. It was urgent, had to be done today, because the offer was made to get the bingo equipment, and I think there's a little going on. So, I think I sent a note to you because I was out of town to just say, Alan, try to figure out what's going on here. It have to be done today because it was like it had to be on
Can
a
we
truck
just
today.
simply make a motion to accept this as a gift to the town?
That would be perfect.
I move that we accept the gift from the Wareham Lodge of Elks, the used bingo machine.
There you go.
Second.
Second. Begley, Tinelbaum. Anything on the question? And somebody's going to...
The one thing that you, and I apologize, one thing you may want to put in there is that's for the COA use, because they were pretty specific on that.
I will amend my motion. If you'll draw your second, I'll make it again.
Second.
The Wareham, the Board of Selectmen, on the behalf of the town of Wareham, accepts the donation from the Wareham Lodge of Elks, the used bingo machine for the use of the Council on Aging.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tinelbaum on the question. All in favor? Aye.
Bingo.
Bingo. All opposed? Abstain?
I abstain.
Okay.
I'm a member of the Elks. I have to abstain.
301. Right.
Next we
next
have,
up.
are we finished with you, Mr. Sullivan, you good?
Yeah, 12 has been...
Liaison reports. I have two very quick ones. The Transportation Action Committee. Believe it or not, we have 2 items of action. It's kind of exciting. We're going to send out Dr. Abinovich and Derek Sullivan, I think Frank Keith, because he's kind of got the double hat of Finance Committee and Capital Planning, are going to work on getting together an RFP to go out for privatization. But it's going to be kind of one for everything and then tiered service. And they're going to bring it back to the committee and this board. The other item of action is the Maine Military Authority refurbishes school buses. And the engines have like a 20-year life, but the school bus bodies just disintegrate. So they generally are taken out of service after 10 years. They don't have the military vehicles, so they're concentrating on school buses, and they do this refurbished vehicle and give another 10 years to the life of the bus for $30,000 as opposed to $90,000 for a new bus. So we're going to look into that as a possibility for the town of Wareham and the school department. So that's pretty exciting.
Sounds like a bargain.
Huh?
We're hopeful. The Board of Health is going to post a public hearing for their nitrogen regulations. And the other thing that they discussed that was quite interesting is they are considering developing regulations. It's barely in the draft stage, and they will certainly conduct public hearings about having a fee and rental inspections. There's a huge number of rental properties. There's a lot of tenant-landlord disputes, and one of the protections for the tenant and or the landlord is when one does have this inspection, that photographs are taken and that it's well documented as to the state of the abode. So those are my 2 things.
Tinelbaum?
Just briefly, at the Affordable Housing Trust meeting this afternoon, the general sense of the trust was that they were curious to know about the direction of Westfield, and they were wondering if the Westfield Committee was going to continue to possibly look at the RFP, try to find some creative ways to make it more palatable for developers. And I'm getting the sense that it might not be a bad idea to have the Affordable Housing Trust on the agenda soon, so that they could more thoroughly articulate these questions before the board.
Who is it again?
Affordable Housing Trust.
To talk specifically about Westfield?
Yes.
Okie dokie.
I felt Mrs. Slavin's glare from the back of the room, so I knew I had to come up with it.
All right. Next.
Wareham Historical Commission is working over at the library. There's a lot of important documents stored there. There's issues with the HIVAC system as far as moisture. Documents basically dissolve over a period of time if they're not properly maintained. They had somebody in, I believe, yesterday looking at it. They're going to have to come back with something, and sooner or later, hopefully we'll have a town meeting where there'll be a capital item to take care of the library issue there. Planning board has basically done the draft of the sign bylaw. They hopefully will, it should have gone out to all the selectmen, or if it hasn't, it will be, all the different department heads that are involved with signs. And then once that's done, the feedback there, then they will go and proceed to have some public meetings with businesses, et cetera, to see how it works. Probably you'll be looking at a signed bylaw for the spring of 2013 town meeting for a new one. I believe they also have one article coming before town meeting that they finished up on rezoning a small area. That's it.
Okay, real quick, Cedar has been holding a series of workshops on, I need to bring my laptop with me, but on October 2nd, I believe, they will be here to discuss they're actually holding a public hearing on the block grant. They will be here on October 2nd to discuss the block grant, to discuss the workshops that they're holding, and Mr. Pena will be here as well. I think the whole board will be here to present those two issues, and they'll probably be here with Mr. Pena to present the plan, his ideas for the future.
So,
And
Mr.
that's
Chair,
on
at
October the
a
2nd.
selectmen's meeting, they'll be here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's on the agenda, October 2nd.
I'm getting tired.
I know. Well, before we adjourn, I have to ask another question, but that's it for liaison reports.
Okay, what's the question?
Prior to adjournment. September 25th, I hope this isn't embarrassing. I don't see how it could be embarrassing. On September 25th is, I've studied a little bit now, is a Jewish holiday, a significant Jewish holiday, I'm told, similar to Christmas or some other holidays.
Christmas or Easter, is that what you said?
In other faiths. As some know, Mr. Slavin is Jewish. And the board's feelings on holding a meeting and not allowing him to be part of it because of his faith, I'm just wondering if the board is of the same opine as I am, that we should not meet on that day.
Mr. Chair, I absolutely agree. However, I would respectfully ask that you reschedule the meeting sometime during that week. I think that this has been a very long time that this board hasn't met, and that we're getting behind.
Well, if you'd let me finish, that was going to be my suggestion, that we meet on the Monday. Okay. Can you meet on Monday? As long as we don't go past sundown Tuesday.
On Tuesday?
As long as we meet for less than
Oh, no, we don't have to do
26
anything
hours,
on Tuesday.
we'll be all set.
I have to see when we can.
Thank you very much. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you'll determine the date of that, Mr. Chair, the date of that?
7
I
p.m.
can't meet on that day. I'm working because we don't usually meet on Mondays.
Well, I understand. Well,
Wednesday?
26th?
I won't be here, but that's fine with me.
The 26th.
It's fine with me. I don't need to be here.
I mean, I can
Well,
probably,
I'm
I
sure,
can,
but, you know, the issue on the Tuesday, I think, is respect. And so-
no, and I understand that, and I agree with it. I can make it on the 20,
Huh? Yeah, it kinda goes
when does it sundown Tuesday or sundown Monday? Okay, so then I can make it, because you're going to be tied up on Wednesday as well. I can make it on the 24th. I'm working till 7. I'll come right from work.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your courtesy.
You're welcome.
We'll keep it listed and we'll make the meeting for 7:45. Does that give you time to get home and 7:45? 7:30? Oh. So we'll call it for 7:30 on Monday. Thank you very much. And then, okay, well, I'll send this lady those emails. Anything else, folks? Mr. Bowen, anybody? Mr. Sullivan? Phew. Thank you very much for your patience. I think we got a
Yay.
lot accomplished here.
May I make a motion to adjourn?
Second with-
Absolutely. That's what I'm sitting here mumbling about. I'm waiting for somebody.
Second with pleasure.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? All opposed? Abstained, 400. Thank you very much for your cooperation.